good life.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 8th of January, 2023. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Good job pronouncing that number and it being the correct one.
And Robert Kemp.
2023 feels like a made-up year.
Well, they've all felt like made-up years.
Yeah,
since 2000, basically.
I don't know. 2022 sounded vaguely cool. I don't know. Like it had a flow to it. 2023, yeah, not so much. I wouldn't put that as my
not super different.
I wouldn't put that as my sci-fi subtitle.
Well, maybe.
And although in fairness, the Wipeout ones aren't exactly particularly flow off the tongue, are they? Like 2097. 2097's okay. But like,
presumably that one was just 100 years in the future,
Yes,
was it? 2097? Yeah.
But then what was the PS? But the Vita one, was it 2047 or something? Or
yeah.
Maybe.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know why they chose that one. Obviously, it had to be, it was a prequel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're trying to make it more like current F1, right? Or some kind of evolution.
Yeah. That was its whole
towards Wipeout.
That was its whole intro video, I think.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I'm into
cool
that
idea. Yeah.
I did have, maybe for the first time as we get old, I had the first moment where someone said a year was a number of years ago, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I was.
Wait, you mean you're only experiencing that feeling now?
Well, it's only been this one time that I remember it being this like specific and like actually having a moment of realization. Because they were talking about a movie, I don't remember which one, and they're like, it came out in 1995, that's more than 25 years ago. And I was like, what? Oh shit, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, the year of games is 25 years ago now, isn't it?
I mean,
what, 98 to 23? Yeah.
I mean, was it Sonic 2 is now 31 years old? No, 30 and a bit.
Oh shit, is this year the year that we have to play Half-Life 2 on video? I forget.
That's 2004.
Oh, one more year.
Half-Life 2. So one more year.
That's the rule. We did Half-Life 1 and therefore we have to do Half-Life 2.
Oh, I mean, if we start now, we might be finished by next year.
I mean, that's a good game. Is it longer than... It's about the same, probably, length as
I
Half-Life
thought it was
1,
longer than Half-Life 1.
Maybe it's longer.
I don't know, I feel like it might be shorter. I mean, we do. Then you do have to do like episode 1 and 2 as well, obviously.
Yeah, they're not that long though, are they?
Well, I don't know.
I
episode 1's relatively short. Episode 2 feels longer. Although that might just be because episode 2 is like, I find episode 2 way more annoying.
Because it has the
the
outdoor
hunters
parts and stuff. Yeah, and the hunters, yeah.
Was that one that which one of the two was the one where you're doing an awful lot of driving? Like extended driving sequence?
Well, no. Episode 2 is the one which has more driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably that one. I found that quite a little bit tedious, actually.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of driving in the original game with the Lost on the coast and everything. And
but I felt like it was like split up more.
Yeah, probably.
Well, but in the original game, there was much less. Episode 2 had more combat driving, which was not as good.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you sort of stopped to do the combat in the original game, didn't you? Sort of
because the car didn't have a gun in the original. It was the airboat that had the gun, right?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Right.
Yeah. Could you not shoot at all while you were driving the car?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
You didn't one-hand a pistol or something. So.
Well, no. There was no.
I mean, you couldn't even see your hands on the wheel, right?
No. You couldn't see your hands at all. Yeah.
Hey, we got onto video games pretty quick. Just it's a podcast about video games
because there's nothing else to talk about.
Half-Life 2 would be a good video series. I think it's nearly time.
Yeah, next year.
That one. Yeah, next year. Okay.
Ooh, look at the physics. Ooh. But which one are we doing? Are we doing like Half-Life 2, or would we do? Oh no, they didn't do that yet.
They didn't. They haven't remade it yet.
Black Mesa was the first one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there is no. Yeah, upgrade.
There's
there's a VR version, but
yeah, there's probably a whole bunch of mod packs as well. But
yeah,
who cares about Half-Life 2 mods?
But it might be pretty.
it's going to look very bare, like 2004 graphics, because it was like they managed to get like, the source engine was pretty cool and had high resolution like textures and stuff, but like the environments just aren't that detailed, just because of the nature of the time, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
it's still got a very distinctive look to it. I mean, I really like it. It's a great game.
I mean, City 17 came off better, I think, than most of the rest of the game.
The nature, yes.
Yeah. I'm just sad I can't really play first-person games on PC anymore because of my RSI for doing the mouse, which is really annoying. So I'll probably never play Half-Life 2 again, which is a shame.
But they did consoleize it, right? So
yeah, can you get that? Can you play that?
Well, it must have been in the orange box on console, right? So it must be.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know how they would have changed it to work on consoles, if that makes sense. Like, or did you just? Yeah. Was it naturally just play it at a lower difficulty level? I mean, there's nothing stopping you from picking up a controller and playing it like Halo, I
mean, Half-Life isn't that difficult, really.
No. Do you think it would have decent controller support just through Steam or whatever these days?
I'm sure it'd be configurable in some way.
Well, I bet there's a shit ton of configurations that you can download in the Steam
probably
controller layer, whatever it's called.
Yeah, because they would have come up with this stuff for Steam controller, right? So there'll be a whole bunch of stuff you can manipulate around that. And presumably they want Steam Deck users to be able to play it as well.
Maybe, if they care about their old games at this point. Apart from Portal. Because that's the one that we know that they do care about.
Well, if you upgrade your PC, Zach, then you can play Portal RTX.
I can play a lot of things RTX if I upgrade my PC. Well, maybe not, though.
Because that Portal RTX thing released relatively recently.
I mean, you need a monster for that thing, don't you?
You do.
Absolutely.
Maybe even if I upgrade my PC, I won't be able to do that.
Yeah, don't you need like a 4090 or whatever? What's the stupid graphics card called?
I mean, 4090 is the top spec, but and that unlaunched card just turned up back in the market. Like, well, I don't know if it's actually out yet, but the one they unlaunched, which was I think it was the 4080 12 gig, they've downgraded to be the 4070 Ti, and that makes total sense. It was just a case of bad branding. But I don't know. New topical discussion, I guess, and we were sort of talking about this before the podcast, but graphics cards still haven't returned to their price point, pre
no, despite
Bitcoin.
the Bitcoin crash or the crypto crash.
They're just so nuts because even the 4070 Ti is like I don't know what the British price is going to be, but it's like advertised as being like a $900 card.
Holy crap!
And that's a lot of money, and that's their mid-range card. That's their current mid-range card. That is nuts.
Yeah, I don't know what's going. How can they? Who's buying this stuff? I mean, because it's not the crypto people anymore.
No, but I guess anyone building a PC currently doesn't have a choice. That's sort of the problem.
Well, that's what
usually they just don't build a PC.
Yeah, I've been wanting to upgrade this machine for years. Yeah.
Like I haven't for the last 5 years while I've been waiting for the prices to change. Yeah. But at this point, as I said previously, like I probably don't actually need anything. I don't even need a this generation graphics card for the games I play. I just put anything in there and it'll be better than what I have.
Yeah, you mainly need like a beefy CPU for your Dwarf Fortress or whatever.
Yeah,
definitely CPU bottlenecked in your case.
I mean, the dream would be to be able to stream Dwarf Fortress, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, if there is one thing that I do need a better graphics card for in general, it will be like stream rendering and video rendering. But that's not that much on the GPU even.
What card are you rocking at the moment?
It's like a 670.
670, okay. Yeah, so that's probably... Can it NVENC?
I think it might be able to, but not well.
Yeah, because that alleviates most of the trouble for...
Yes.
Or that would get rid of most of the trouble for Dwarf Fortress anyway.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't remember what my settings in OBS are on because I fiddled around with it for a while. Because I remember when it first started having NVENC in OBS. And I remember fiddling with the settings, but I don't remember whether I got it working well at the time. And then I've basically never messed with my OBS settings again. It's like I got them working and I was just like, that's good enough. It's good enough for what I'm outputting anyway.
I mean, shout out to the Steam version of Dwarf Fortress. I can't remember the detail, but hey, we've got no news this week. But there was a little news story, wasn't there, that they've done that thing where they set themselves a 6-month sales goal and like hit it in like a couple weeks.
I mean, that was not really a problem for them, I don't think. The more interesting news is they've actually hired another developer, like an actual developer, not one from the company doing the conversion to Steam or whatever.
Oh, what, for the core game?
For the actual real game. Like actually having one other person looking at the actual real code of Dwarf Fortress.
Well, I guess they've made money now, right?
Yes.
He can actually
He can
staff up. So it's a proper company now, I guess.
Well, maybe. I don't even know what.
It must be, right? To have like contractually got a deal together with this other one, they would have had to have sorted something out.
Well, yeah, but I don't know because like the Steam version is released under the other company, the company that's doing the Steam conversion. Sure. I don't know if like there is under the other company of just the original developer. I don't know if he counts as a company or whatever. I mean, presumably he must have some kind of like legal like ownership structure for the
he must
code or whatever.
He must have IP ownership. And jazz.
But I don't know what the actual setup is.
I guess it would be, like anything, like any. I was going to say, like, I was trying to think of, like, who owns stuff? Oh, I guess J.K. Rowling still owns Harry Potter, I guess.
Yep.
It's like there must be some individual arrangement there as well as.
But, like, that's not a thing that was never going. That was always like that.
Well, I guess, you know what I mean? They will have an individual arrangement as well as Warner Brothers being the custodian.
Sure, I guess. But it's just royalties in that case, though. It's not like...
Yeah, I suppose.
It's not the same as an ongoing code base or whatever.
Mm.
Or book rights, I guess, would be the other part of that.
I don't think no one else can write a Harry Potter book, right? So I
presumably.
I mean, they could, but...
but there might be problems.
Plenty of fanfic.
Yeah.
Speaking of vaguely not exactly like game, it's news about games, but not exactly news, I guess.
Not exactly news. This is our new segment.
Well, it's because I was going to talk about this later, but might as well string this on now while we're talking about developers, I guess. Sure. So there were some patches for Dyson Sphere program. They started. I mean, after the holiday break, I guess they're back, so they started updating again. Still not got the like enemy update yet. It's just some like graphical updates, which is actually, I haven't gone into the game to look at them, but it's actually kind of nice because they've basically added clouds to the planets now, so you can actually. So obviously you see them from the outside and the inside, depending on whether you're on the surface or not. That is probably why it took them a little while to get that working correctly. But yes, and some other atmospheric effects, like when the ray collectors are pulling energy from the Dyson Sphere, they have like a effect that like shows the atmospheric disturbance. And if you're next to a neutron star or whatever, it has like pulsar beams and shit. Huh. So it looks a bit cooler. I mean, the neutron stars really just used to look like a tiny star. Right. They didn't really have any special effects. Like the black hole has a proper like distortion effect. If you fly right next to it, it actually like tries to simulate that.
The
like
sort of the split.
It curves away.
You mean that the interstellar like?
Well, not
shot.
The disc, but like if you fly right up next to it, the event horizon curves further than the sphere. Like it curves backwards against where you are.
Nice.
So that does look pretty cool. But
was it Outer Wilds attempted some of that as well with how it handled its holes.
But then, so that's the updates. But then at the bottom of this patch notes, they just added a little note where, like, at the moment, the staff of our company is suffering from COVID a lot. Right. So development might be slower now. And I just thought that was kind of interesting because we were talking about how, like, obviously it's a Chinese company and it's just like, and now they're getting hit by COVID because that's part of how the Chinese situation is going with how they've been dealing with COVID. It's not like the rest of the world where we're kind of over it at this point.
No, they've still been...
They're doing it differently.
I mean, I haven't been following it closely enough to know what they've been doing. It basically just been lockdown, or some light.
They changed tack though, didn't they?
Well, just recently.
Recently,
but the way they've basically been doing it up to this point is like locking down individual cities rather than.
Oh, I see. What, like kind of rolling lockouts, kind of thing.
As soon as they detect there's COVID in a city, they just shut that city off.
Wow.
Which doesn't seem to have been working that great.
No,
it seems.
Because surely then it just goes through the city.
Yeah.
And as the rest of the world has figured out, you can recatch COVID. That's a thing.
Yes. But yeah, so we're at as I said last time, we talked about Dice-Sphere's devs. Like, I don't know what city they're in, but evidently, whatever city has currently got COVID in China is the one that they're in.
Have they immunised? Did they roll out a program that?
I don't know.
They do have a vaccine. Yeah, they do. Sinovac.
They have like their own special one.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know what the rollout is on that, like whether they tried to go large scale on it.
Did Xiaomi make it and it's full of 5G?
Clearly.
Who is it with the 5G? Huawei or
Huawei? Yeah, sorry, not Huawei, not Xiaomi. That's another brand. I don't think they make phones or 5G, but like that's another brand.
Do you think I saw something that they're getting close? Who was it? Somebody, maybe India has banned TikTok like outright.
Yeah,
really. The US,
I think it was like. Was it India or was it like Thailand?
I can't remember. I mean, that's quite different in terms.
Yes, it is a slightly different scale.
Yeah.
What's wrong with TikTok? Other than
because it's
fucking
a backdoor for the Chinese government, isn't it? To monitor everyone's phone.
Because that's what.
Wait, is TikTok Chinese owned?
Yeah, fully Chinese.
That was the thing. That was when it got bought, and then the US were like, "We need to shut down TikTok," but then they didn't. Even though that was the reason for that whole thing, would be like, oh, it's because then they had that I think they did make a specifically different version. Like there's the Chinese version and the non-Chinese version.
Oh, I see. To try and alleviate
to try and still be allowed to sell it in the US, I guess.
What, like how developers have to do the opposite? It's like we need to make a version of our game that doesn't have skeletons in it, so we can sell it in China
or Germany.
Germany not like skeletons?
I forget what Germans.
Germany's
ones
slightly more relaxed than they used to be.
Yeah, do they still have a blood thing?
Because green and stuff.
Yeah, because everything had to be zombies in Germany, right? Like you couldn't actually murder people for a while.
Yes. But yeah,
I mean, it's a fair enough rule, I suppose, when you say it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember how that actually turned out in TikTok. But yes.
But yeah, it could be that the US have banned TikTok at some point. It's so popular.
Well, I think they tried to, but then didn't. I think that's what actually happened in the US.
Okay. I mean, the US can't do anything at the moment.
Well, no, they can now. They've just finally solved that problem.
Yeah. That was hilarious to watch.
We were just watching the tweet that supposedly had some guy like reading out his vote in a Leroy Jenkins style, and we're critiquing his Leroy Jenkins.
Well, we were discussing whether it even was that reference.
Was it a reference?
Or was it just that he was saying it weird because he was extremely bored?
And then everyone latched on to being like, that's a bit Leroy, and it's like, no, I mean, maybe.
I mean, it's shouting someone's name in an elongated fashion with a first name, last name. I mean, at a certain level, that's going to sound kind of like Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean, my critique was that he didn't lean into the Jenkins.
Yeah, okay.
You know, wow, he needed to say Jeffries with a lot more grunt in his voice. Jeffries. Then maybe add weak to it.
Yes, I knew that was coming. I was like, here comes that reference that Rob's going to make.
I've still never found that ad again. It's really annoying.
I can't find it.
I'm beginning to doubt whether it actually happened. Like whether it's
the one that I
dream.
doubt and I can't find is a going to want to buy some car insurance.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think that really existed.
No, I'm certain that did. I'm certain. I think we shared a fever dream on that one. Like we were in the same. We were taking the same drugs.
Yeah, maybe. That's one thing. It's quite hard to find old British adverts on YouTube. Surprisingly,
well, from a certain age, it's like they have like the late 80s, and then after that they sort of trail off.
Even then, it must be impossible to like archive every ad, right?
Yeah,
especially in today's society, like where there's just so goddamn many of them.
I guess so.
But I guess these like ad agencies and the brands don't just post the ad to their site as a video. You can then go watch back because it goes out of date, right? So they don't want them there.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess the other question is, do these companies have archives of themselves? Do they keep their old?
I don't know. I wonder.
Ad reels or whatever.
I wonder.
Oh, probably. There's a copy of these things. It's just like finding them yourself. Yeah.
I'm not. Okay, maybe TV ads are a different thing. Yeah, maybe someone somewhere has got the asset.
Well, I mean, yes, because it was a physical asset at some point, I guess.
Yeah, but like, I'm just sort of thinking like smaller company ads, like maybe the jingles on the radio or something. You don't actually necessarily get kept or things like that because you know Hadley Tire Services, you know, and all that jazz. They probably don't keep every single one of those.
No, probably not.
Is that the jingle for the local?
I mean, yeah,
A very old one at this point, but yes,
they're still using it. I believe. I think they're still doing that jingle. Like Hadley Tire Services, we're the best by far.
There you go.
not sponsored.
There you go. I mean, it worked. It's stuck in my head forever now.
Yes, but that is sort of the trouble. I wonder if that is actually like if we didn't live in the same part of the country that we have lived in basically our entire lives, that would be a problem, right? You'd remember this advert for a company that's like 100 miles away.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, yeah. I mean, I tried at one point. Like I did because there's one in Needham Market, right? There's a Hadley Tire Services outlet, and like they were assholes on the phone to me. So
there you go.
So the advertising worked, but the company didn't.
Yeah, well, they were a bit. They weren't totally assholes. They were just like that sort of like blunt. Oh, we can't fit you in. And it's like, okay, when can you? You know, that sort of type. Yeah, they didn't seem bothered.
Shut up and take my money.
Exactly. They didn't seem bothered about my business. So fair enough. Screw them.
I think garages are all like that, though.
I don't know. The dude I use now is pretty good. He's all right. I was about to say there's one I remember like definitely from like when we were pre-teen, I guess, and there was like these radio ads for the bed factory.
Yep.
It's like, gonna go to bed factory. I can't remember. Just remember there was just like this, like that was all I remember. But there's just the word bed factories in there somewhere. Bed factory. They don't exist anymore.
No. It's a furniture company that actually went out of business instead of fake going out of business.
What, the sale was.
The sale was real.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fake sale.
Sale never ends at DFS.
Yep.
One advert that's got stuck in my head is the one time I went to an Ipswich Town football match, like back when I was at school. Or I went with Jamie, and they obviously they kept playing like a radio ad over and over again, like in the stadium, around it. Like I kept hearing it everywhere that one day, and that has since stuck in my head. And it's an advert for, you know, instead of a transit van, buy the Vauxhall version of a van, whatever, which was called Movano or something like that.
Oh, right.
And it was like, and the advert was like, Movano, Moo what? Move on.
Yeah, I remember that advert.
Yeah. Wow. Moo what? What? Anyway, for some reason that stuck in my head. I'm never going to buy a fucking Movano. Although it looks like they still exist. So, you know, the fact that that's in my head isn't totally useless.
It's still technically relevant.
The brand, just like a transit, he says. Yeah. Moo what? I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah,
that
should have been the
Movano indeed.
That should have been the brand crossover.
Well, yeah, but they'd have had to have steal Vic and Bob off Renault.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
After they did all the Nicole and
that
Papa
is a classic.
ads.
Yeah, that is a classic advert. What's it? And it's a reference to The Graduate, isn't it? The end of The Graduate.
Yeah, and although at the time I didn't know what The Graduate was, so to me it was a Wayne's World 2 reference. Like,
yes,
which is in itself a The Graduate
which is in
reference.
itself a Graduate reference. Yeah, and there's a Graduate reference in The Simpsons, isn't there? With it's the Abe Simpson, Mrs. Bouvier.
Yeah.
Because he's banging on the glass and you can't hear him, and when he gets through the glass, he just sounds exactly the same, and just as weak. But he's stupid. Yeah, Bob.
Ads, man.
Adverts. Yeah,
they don't make them like they used to.
You can find total classics like the horrifyingly violent tango adverts.
Yes.
Oh yes, every single one of
like
the
that.
the golden
all.
era of tango ads is there, and
You
they're
can
fabulous.
probably get. I'm sure you can find the dime bars like the Harry Enfield dime bar
I don't know.
adverts.
Well,
I think
maybe.
you can find that one,
Yeah.
like the initial one, like
Crunchy
you know.
on the inside, smooth on the outside.
dime bar, soft on the inside, crunchy on the outside. Armadillos,
Yep.
Armadillos, yeah. But
which
it's
you know
like the
comes
more
up.
obscure ones.
That phrasing comes up more often than you'd think in like cookery shows.
Well, yes.
Like where they say soft on the inside, crunchy on the outside, like almost word for word. And then of
Armadillos.
course everyone at home suddenly goes, armadillo!
Armadillos, yeah.
I don't know if they know what they're doing.
When they do that,
Yeah.
it's because no one gets that reference anymore apart from us, maybe.
I mean,
Also it's like harder now that it's like IKEA, sort of IKEA owned, and is like a Dame bar rather than a dime bar.
Is it IKEA?
I don't know. They're always in IKEA. I don't know if IKEA own them all, but like
They're
they
in
always
IKEA.
sell them.
Meatballs and Dame bars.
Dame bars. Yeah.
Dame.
They're not that nice.
I mean, they never were.
No, exactly. I don't actually eat those. It's just an advert. I mean, if you like a lot of chocolate, then
On your biscuit.
yeah, then just join our club.
Yeah. I better pick up my penguin first.
So this is a podcast about video games.
Maybe.
We got no news though.
I used to Sodding Love Club biscuits, just saying that.
Yeah, me too.
We're very
I
aware.
joined that club. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Skip the dime bar. Join our club.
I got to level 3 in that club, you know.
What, three at a time? I only ever went 2 at a time. And that was before shrinkflation.
Oh, and that was like my first introduction to chocolate orange as well. Was the club?
Oh
bar.
yeah.
They did that.
Oh, the orange club.
Oh, it was so good.
Not as good as an actual chocolate orange, obviously.
No, but I didn't know at the time. I didn't know any
No.
better. I'd never had a Terry's chocolate orange, which coincidentally has one of the best adverts. Oh no, it's not the Terry's chocolate orange.
the Dawn French
And
one,
the Dawn
isn't
French
it?
ones are great. Like, yeah, whack it.
Yeah.
Don't tap it, whack it. After tap and unwrap was their thing.
because tapping it never worked.
No,
that was bad
worked.
branding from the start.
Yeah.
but no, I think it was like there's an ancient ad like for like a Cadbury's chocolate orange thing, but not like a physical chocolate orange, but they were just chocolate orange flavored chocolate. But to recite, it went. Oranges are round, but we'll soon change that. Cadbury's made an orange that's long and flat.
What the fuck? I don't remember that at all.
And they intentionally sing the word flat. It's great.
Flat.
Flat. And now that's got me thinking of the old flake ads with the weird bunny.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Oh yeah, was it slightly?
Oh no, was it no? It was Cadbury's Caramel that had the bunny,
Yes,
wasn't
it was.
Yeah, it's the
Caramel
caramel
bunny.
had the bunny. Yeah.
Do they still make Cadbury's Caramel?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I eat that quite a lot.
I mean,
I get a
it is
caramel bar.
delicious, but I just can't remember.
Yeah.
It didn't. Maybe is it still in bar form? Like, can you just get like a solid lump of?
It's
Cadbury's
kind of
Caramel?
it's just one of the variants of dairy milk.
Oh, I see. So it's all
Well,
blended
yeah.
in.
Yeah, kind of.
Well,
It's because they changed the shape of dairy milk to be more like the caramel shape, didn't they? Like they
exactly.
smoothed
Yeah.
them
Right. Yeah.
into those rounded nuggets.
Chocolate nuggets.
So it's one of those, except with a hollow cavity with the caramel in the middle of what would so it's the same shape as a standard
So good.
dairy milk. Yeah, but you can get them in basically all the same formats as dairy milk. So you can get them in big bars as well as.
Oh, can you? That doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that would work because, like, the normal dairy milk in big form still has the normal small squares, right?
Oh,
Because the caramel is like the sections are oblong, I guess.
yeah,
They're not
oblong,
square.
yeah. I think they're definitely not square in the. Are they? Maybe. Oh, you could definitely get those.
I mean, I guess
they're square in like the big Dairy Milk bar.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, is there caramel inside the square? Because that's possible. Because there's that other not Cadbury brand thing that's like a small square with something in it. I'm being very unspecific.
I can't. I don't know. I just know you can get it in
huge
format, the caramel. Yeah,
you can get far too much caramel.
Too much caramel. Yeah, by far.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't. I can't have the fruit and nut because I'm not a nut person. So I'm allergic to peanuts. So if I want a variant on,
I can't. I remember the existence of a lot of fruit and nut ads, weren't they? I can't remember what any of them were. Also, like, if Toblerone sorted themselves out, right?
They undrink flavour.
Yeah, because like, there was that whole thing where they were like mostly like straight line, like a flat slab with the odd bit
I don't think that
triangle sticking
lasted
out.
very long. Because that was so dumb. Like, I can't believe they did that.
I mean, we've got a couple.
Yeah,
here,
I saw those on your shelf. It was like you could just go
not like
look.
that.
I could just look, but like, I'm sort of not eating them because Gnome can't eat them at the moment. So it's like,
fair enough.
Solidarity. Although I'm eating all the Leberkuchen, sugar.
Leberkuchen.
Leberkuchen.
What's a Leberkuchen?
It's like a ginger biscuit. It's not really a biscuit. It's like half cake, half. What do you call it? Like,
it's like a soft cookie, I guess.
Soft.
Not quite.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle between like it's a hard cake, and like an iced hard ginger cake in like
but not hard,
form. But not like teeth.
It's hard for a cake.
Hard for a cake, yeah. Harder, stiff.
It's like a cake that's gone off.
A stiff cake.
But they're not like stale or dry. But like, I don't know how to describe them. Like sponge, sort of sponge.
No, it's like it would be a hard sponge.
I mean, I'll go get the packet and read it in a second. But
we can use the descriptive terms section to see what they say that they are.
Anyway, it's a ginger sweet treat.
It's a ginger thing.
Leberkuchen. It's just fun to say. Beers more.
Okay.
Anyway.
Give it back to video games, I guess.
Video games. There you go. I saw that there, Avatar.
Yeah. What do you think of that there?
It's too
way of water.
It's too long.
Did you go to loo before you started, as is the advice?
I did, and I still had to break my rule of like trying not to, and like in the mid bit when they're learning to faff in the water.
Learning the way of water.
Yeah, that was like, oh, this montage is going to be long, isn't it? Like, I could bail out at this point. I was right. The montage was still going when I came back.
Yep. It's like, oh, this time it's a sea dragon. Wow. Okay.
There's an awful lot of that movie that could be cut very easily. There's too
Wailing
much.
bad. Wailing very bad.
I mean, yes, true, but like, yeah, that's. And one too many things happening in the end sequence. It's like, oh, and another bloody thing. Oh, and they were doing the same thing again. Oh, to the point where there was a couple of people sat next to us who, like, when the sequence was pretty much over, and then some extra little thing happens, they're like, oh, for God's sake!
It's happening. Just when you think it's over, it's like the end of Return of the King. It's like,
oh, it's not that bad, but like at least Return of the King is like multiple pointless extra endings. Like this was just, it was still the sequence, and it's like
fucking sequence.
You don't need.
And then they to the point where the kid has to lampshade the fact that she keeps getting tied up or whatever. She's like, "Oh, fuck's sake, I'm tied up again."
Yeah, they even say it. They know. Yeah, I don't know. It's clearly very well made. I don't have any problems with it. I watched it in 3D IMAX because I had, I kind of felt obliged. And, the 3D quality is really good. The image quality is excellent. CG quality in general is top notch.
Really good.
Aside from maybe when boats are crashing, that kind of looked a touch ropey, but that's just, I guess that I don't know how people falling out of a boat are supposed to look.
Actually supposed to look. Yeah, okay, fair.
But yeah, it's too long. They needed an editing pass.
Yeah, but who's going to say no to James Cameron at this point?
Yeah,
And
it's
spent
just
12 years
there was no
making this shit.
narrative benefit to spending as much time as they did with the family learning the way of water and the internal stripes and all that. They just spent far too much time on that, and it's like.
But that's the point, though, isn't it? It's like it's not meant to be it's not meant to be a like tight narrative movie. It's meant to be an annoying spectacle forever.
Yeah, it definitely succeeds there.
Yeah, but the first film was long and isn't nearly as annoying in that regard. Like there's a bit more of a flow. I think the pacing is better, and it's I don't know. The first film works way better than this one.
Well, that's because it's a sequel, and it's because it's basically having to do it all again, even though it shouldn't have to do it all again, but it is doing it all again.
Sort of not. Yeah, the pacing isn't quite the same this time round. And yeah, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of there is a lot of spectacle in the first film, but and spectacle for spectacle's sake. But yeah, I felt it just feels like it works a lot better in that instance. Maybe is it? I mean, the first film's quite straight-laced as well. Like, it doesn't lean too much into the odd joke, and this one does not do that ever, pretty much.
No, there's not much levity in it, is there?
No, and I think that's sort of a problem because you're not. It's too straight-laced.
Yeah,
which is. I wonder if that's just because the Marvel effect, right? Where it's like now every action film has to be slightly comical.
Oh, you think you expect that now?
Yeah,
well, I don't know.
I wonder if I've just got too used to it, as opposed to expect it. You see what I mean? Like it's just become.
Both things don't have to. I don't know, but it does help sometimes, especially with something like Avatar. I don't know.
Especially with all the family scenes, it's like surely the family could have done something funny.
Yeah. What did you think of the weird Mowgli boy? What's his name? Spider.
I mean, he clearly only exists to make the sequel possible.
Yeah.
Spoilers, but it's pretty stupid.
What do you think of my favourite stupid coffee thing? Where this time she drinks coffee with power armor for some reason.
I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
Oh, you didn't notice that? Oh, it's my favourite part from the original Avatar. It's amplified. Where he's drinking the coffee. This time she drinks the coffee with the power armor. And I think he drinks the coffee when he's an Avatar as well, which I don't even know if,
Yeah, does that even help
appreciate
Avatar biology?
I don't know.
Or I've forgotten what they're even called. What the species is?
The Na'vi.
Na'vi, yeah, that's it.
Oh, that was really clumsy exposition where they're like, "Oh, isn't that so unfair that us humans can only breathe Pandoran air for 1 minute, but you Na'vi can breathe human air for 20 minutes or something like that." They had to explain that or something, and there's just a really clumsy bit of expository dialogue to explain that.
I mean, it was never implied that Earth air was toxic to the Na'vi anyway. It was totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
But, because, the avatars are in human lab. But I suppose they are still masked up, aren't they, in the human lab whenever you see the avatars, in the first film. All the scientists around them are usually masked up. So I guess they're in a...
Yeah, they're in an outside environment.
They're in a Pandoran environment.
They never in the first movie they don't go into the specifics of what it is, but they vaguely reference that it's not like it's the actual gases. It's it's something
spore,
spores or something, something natural, not like the literal chemicals.
Yeah. Anyway, Zach, you put your finger on it when we were talking about it before. When I was talking about it before, is that the unobtainium is not mentioned at all.
Nope.
But the new unobtainium that comes from the whales or whatever, it's how did they figure that out? That there was unobtainium in the whales,
and that it stops aging.
Yeah,
supposedly.
It's just one line, and it's how did they work that out?
Well, how long they've been on the planet for? Well, I guess this expedition has been on the planet a year.
Yeah, I guess.
And they've managed to, and they brought a whole bunch more stuff this time.
They got like a giant whaling. It's not even a ship. It's like a
Well, but that's that.
Dreadnought.
Caspian Sea monster.
But it's like, why would you bring that? Like, what were they coming here to do before they discovered the whale thing?
Yeah,
They sort of explain a lot of that away by at one point by just being like, hey, we've got spiders that can build shit real quick. Like, and we can build everything. So I guess you could guess that they built a shipyard.
They just built what they needed at the time.
The humans are playing Total Annihilation.
Right,
What's
yes.
going on.
Nanobots.
do you think when they came back, they just got all the unobtainium? They just didn't mention that?
No, because it was all under the tree and they didn't go for that.
Well, but they blew up the tree, so it should be totally available now, right?
They got the tree?
Yes, that's the whole thing.
I suppose they did.
They blew up the tree. It was the other tree that was not that near even because it was way up in the mountains.
Right, yeah.
That was the one that didn't get blown up.
Yeah, the spirit tree, not the actual
The tree.
Yeah.
Which is where the unobtainium was. So maybe they did come back
Maybe
and
they
like that.
just went and got it, yeah. Oh, nobody's here anymore. Well, that's convenient.
But that can't have been all of it. It wasn't just like one. They said that was the best deposit. That wasn't like the only deposit.
Yeah, because they had one already, right?
Yeah, they were already mining it.
Yeah.
It's no longer humanity's focus, apparently.
For some reason.
They don't mention it at all.
All they say is like, Earth is dying, we need a new home. It's turned into that, and they're like, Pandora's the closest thing we've got.
But then why do you want the anti-aging thing?
whale thing.
Yeah, I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know why that's mentioned. Because they seem to make it sound like, hey, it's not just a military option on the operation on the planet. There's just some dudes out to make money.
Well, I mean, that sort of makes. I mean, if you.
But like, how does money? Why does that exist?
Well, why does money exist?
Yeah. On this venture, if it's that important to humanity, why is that a thing?
I mean, shouldn't the unobtainium completely fucked up the entire like monetary system of the whole Earth at this point? Like, it was so valuable and it had such ridiculous properties. It'd be like if you like in modern times, if you could asteroid mine, that's gonna fuck up the economy quite badly. All that goddamn platinum suddenly.
And I said it before, but I'd still find it a really weird choice that, like, the captain of the whaling ship is this over-the-top Australian, and then the first officer is played by Jermaine Clement, and they're like, well, he can't be in New Zealand, so do an American accent. It's like, what? Why have they got him doing an American accent? It's weird. And there's nothing funny, so, like, why is he even there? Yeah, it's so weird.
He's not... I mean, he's not even a meaningful character, is he?
No.
Like, okay, we're definitely going into slight... I mean, there's spoilers all over this conversation slightly, but like he's a sort of sympathetic character, but still takes part in the whaling.
Yeah.
And then just unceremoniously dies. Like,
yeah,
you know,
he's not that sympathetic. He's like, he's got like moral qualms about it, but then he does it anyway.
But still
so it's like, yeah.
It's a weird. It's
weird.
I'm not even sure where they'll go with it because it didn't really sequel up, did it? Even like
I know.
It didn't sequel bait that much, other than the fact.
Well,
we
to be
know
honest, the first one did it. So,
I mean, yeah, there's the underbaked nature of Kitty's character, right? In that it doesn't. No one seems. I mean, that's so okay. Yeah, definite spoiler territory here, but that's weird in itself, and it's like she's clearly got some sort of supernatural-ish. Or some extra connection with AY, you know, the spirit of the planet. And nobody seems to notice and or care. And it's like, or make a big fuss of what's going on. It's so odd.
What happened
they
to
sort
the
of
thing
notice
for the first
at times, and they're just
where...
like, oh, well, that's a thing. You know, it's really weird.
Yeah,
and it's like, clearly that's
she
going
connects to, like, the shit underwater, doesn't she?
Yeah, and that's sort of going to be the big deal for the sequels. Surely that's the one hook we've got, right? Other than
because did they talk about the thing that isn't really a thing, but they mentioned for some reason in the first film where it's like, oh, there's like a I don't know, like a natural internet where they plug into the planet yes. and then they could, but they don't really talk about that, but that does seem to be plugging into it.
I mean, that is the planet spirit, right? Basically.
Yeah.
It's just, it's basically the story to Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, right?
Right.
Well, it was never really
The mind
explained as
worms
being...
and the fungus, and then it turns into the planet mind. Then you talk to it.
Yeah, it was never really explained as like the internet, was it? Like it's.
They did say that specifically.
Oh, did they? Like,
first
I mean,
bit.
it's not actually how it works.
That was the
though, is
joke.
it?
It sounded so ridiculous, and then the guy laughed it off because he was like, "What the fuck are you smoking?"
But it's not actually how it works, though, is it? They sort of share their memories with the planet, and
Right.
they can use it
That
to
part
revisit
they did.
memories.
I mean,
but that's kind of about it, and it's like
Also, it's the Final Fantasy VII live stream, and
Yeah, the live stream.
I mean, it's never been
Period.
implied that it's like so they can't talk to their spirit tree and have that talk to the water people's spirit tree. You know, it's not like a comms method.
well, maybe. I mean, maybe not between land-based plants and water-based plants. Maybe, maybe there's a species barrier at a certain
separate
point.
networks.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't talk to each other. So weird.
The
What a
encryption's
weird
different.
thing.
So yeah, I mean, clearly we can look to Alpha Centauri to tell us how this is going to end, one way or another. Either you become one with the planet, or the planet rises up and kills everything.
What, you reckon there's no like? Oh no, it's going to be like the happy, crappy ending, isn't it? Right, where the Navi are all fine, except some of them are dead.
But
they're still there.
that's all of these endings.
It'll return to normal, or it'll be like, oh, we're living in harmony with the humans.
Well, yes, but like
that's probably what will be.
that's what it
It'll be
still
boring.
it still has to link into the planet though somehow. Because if we're imagining escalation, they're going to have to resolve that the planet spirit point at some point.
Gaia is dying.
Yes, exactly. Final Fantasy movie.
Oh god, the
any
meteor comes.
any of these video game references that are exactly the same story.
It's totally going to be about meteor, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I would as I theorized before the sequel had come out, when we just rewatched the first one, it's just like, if you want to get rid of the native population, nuke it from orbit, just drop an asteroid on them. Fucking, you're in space, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
I wonder, that is a very good point. Why haven't they bothered with any of that? I mean, they kind of did when they landed. They kind of got rid of a whole.
In this one,
Yeah.
it's like explode everything. Yeah.
But yes,
I guess they want the planet to be somewhat livable, so they can't just nuke everything.
I mean, I guess, but I don't think they care that much, or at least the corporation doesn't. You could easily just drop an asteroid on them, so it could be a meteor. Less of a magical meteor, more of a technological meteor. Because as we also speculated, it's like they've done land, they've done water. What's left? Air, but that wouldn't be very interesting. So it's got to be like caves, right? They got to go fully underground, get right down into the live stream, and then that will fuck everything up.
Oh boy, yes, that is exactly what's coming. I'm on board with this.
As long as we get to go inside someone's mind and look at their memories in a weird like ghost form, like you do in Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, they sort of already do that.
Well, sure, but not in exactly that way.
Yeah. Yes, there'll be something about going deeper, for sure.
They will discover another even better unobtainium mineral that's further down.
Or just a bigger tree.
But everyone
like
thinks
underground tree.
Yeah, is it all going to be underground? But it's like, will that be visually as good? And I have the same question for Breath of the Wild. What Tears of the Kingdom? Like, if it's, I get that they're going up in the sky, but if they go underground as well, it's like, is that going to be cool? I'm trying to think where that has worked. I mean, Skyrim has that, right? Where there's like a weird underground.
Just make everything really, really glowy.
Yeah, I mean, the way to make
was,
if you're imagining the Avatar version of underground, it will be all kinds of weird, like ridiculous crystal formations, all kinds of
that's true.
ridiculous bullshit.
Glowy plants. Even more glowy plants.
Yes, even more glowy plants.
I mean, everyone's got like glow bits on them anyway,
yes,
right? Like,
everyone is photoluminescent.
Yeah.
No, that's not the right word for whatever.
No, yeah, I know.
Bioluminescent. Yeah.
Photoluminescent is a bit of a redundant one.
yeah.
Well, unless it like the Polaroids are glowing in the dark. Or is that a luminescent photo?
Possibly.
I mean, photo is a bit of a weird abbreviation for photograph, isn't it? Because the photo part just means light, doesn't it? So when you talk about photos, you just talk about light rather than a light graph or like a light capture. You're taking away the part that actually has meaning. But I guess that's quite common in abbreviations and things.
Sure.
It's like a lot of people call university uni. And it's like, uni? That just means one, doesn't it? Or like...
Yeah, but university's too long.
Yeah, fair enough.
University isn't a
Nobody
contraction
likes
of 2 words
forcible
anyway,
words.
is it?
No, it's
Universe.
It's a single word.
Yeah, but uni it's a prefix. It's not
Well,
like same as universe. Like,
yeah, but why is university called university? Is it the universal school?
I think so. I'm not actually sure. Maybe it's like, originally it was like universal knowledge of what was actually available to.
Because then it's not a prefix of uni attached to another word. It's still the whole world of universe, I guess. Which is that a prefix? What does verse mean in universe?
Right. Yeah. Universe, and then I suppose multiverse, right? It's like there's more than one verse.
That's more like a backronym, except not a
Yeah,
backronym.
that's true.
Whatever you call that in.
I don't know.
Backronym prefix.
Backward prefix. Right, we've thoroughly exhausted all news, I think.
All none of it.
All none of it. Should we talk about what we've been playing? Since Christmas.
I mean, we could vaguely shout out to our good friend of Jim Carner, Ken Block.
Oh yeah, poor old Ken Block.
As it turns out, bad season for snowmobile accidents.
Yeah,
well,
Jeremy Renner.
It was a bad time of snow.
Yeah,
Time of snow.
Too much snow. So yeah,
but I mean, at least in the Ken Block case, you have to assume he was doing something ridiculous with a snowmobile. It wasn't just like a boring accident.
I don't know. Like, I mean, yes. In my head, he was doing some sick ass jump.
Yes,
sick,
or attempting to anyway.
But like, I'm not. I don't really know. Presumably, you could go into powder on a snowmobile and it just dig in and then flip.
Sure, and it landed on him, right?
I don't feel like. Well, I mean, if you were unlucky, but I feel like you have a reasonably good chance of not immediately dying from getting crushed by a snowmobile. They're not that heavy. They're pretty heavy. But
I mean, they're pretty heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a motorbike.
It's definitely a bad time.
Slightly heavier than a motorbike.
It just takes one thing to land in the wrong place, right? And you're in trouble.
But then on the other hand, you could get run over by a snowplow that weighs as much as 3 cars and still live. So.
People need to be careful with this snow.
With all this snow.
Yeah, freaking Michael Schumacher drove fast, so much, and then he goes skiing. And
don't be a racing legend. Is apparently like be a racing, be like a middle of the road racing guy, and you're probably okay.
Yeah.
No.
Stick to the cars. Don't branch out like Colin McRae and try and fly a helicopter. And then,
or drive a snowmobile.
Yeah,
it's a sort of car. It's a snow car.
Helicopter's a sort of car. It's a flying car.
A flying car.
Yeah. So shout out to him, and because you sort of put a slightly indelible mark on rally games.
Yeah, Jim Carner influence.
Mm-hmm. And the Hoonigan cars still turn up in Forza Horizon and things like that. It's sad times.
Yeah. That is the news. It's time for what have you been playing? Should we start with Zach this time? Yeah. Since we last caught up, which was our kind of Game of the Year podcast, we did get out of the way what we'd been playing, didn't we? So, so since then.
And, it was been Christmas, so new games, I guess.
Exactly, new games to play.
But first, let me talk about an old game briefly again.
Of course.
Because I wanted to talk about Rocket League specifically because apparently bots are now a thing in Rocket League, or they're starting to become a thing.
What?
Which is going to be a problem
in ranked matches.
Yeah, in ranked.
What to do under what circumstance? Like when presumably they're going to avoid trying to matchmake like that.
Well,
But
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real bots. I'm not talking about AI.
oh,
I mean,
right.
I am talking about AI, but I'm not talking about AI as in what AI means in Rocket League. I'm talking about bots.
Bots playing the game masquerading as users.
Yes, connecting to ranked.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
That's a bit of a problem.
Yes, it is a bit of a problem. So what happened was, so there's always been mods for Rocket League, and there's been a lot of training pack mods for like practicing dribbling or flying or whatever,
Sure.
car control.
Yeah.
And then one of the more famous, like, or more comprehensive, I guess, packs of these things, they'd recently started trying to basically make a training, like a bot to be a training opponent, basically, which was, and therefore, like, better than the shitty AI of Rocket League.
Right, to make it
like, to make
a bit more
almost
human.
competent bot.
Okay.
But the trouble is that they did that, and then the code leaked, and then people, well, I mean, they were presumably going to release it at some point anyway, but the code also leaked.
Right.
And it's a machine learning thing, like it's not just like code. But then apparently some people have worked out how to link that into like the actual controller inputs or whatever you can just connect that to a ranked game.
I mean, that sort of makes sense. If it was like machine learning with all the usual stimulus and stuff like that, and it just translates those into control within the physics engine, then yeah, sure.
I mean, apparently it can only really do dribbles and flicks. It can't do aerials yet. And I mean, this version won't be it's not going to evolve any more than it currently is. It's not.
Sure, you'd have to train them.
Yes, it's not actually linked to a like model at currently. It's like it's an export of what it had learned to this point. Of
course,
so it's not going to get any better. But it's very good at dribbling and flicks.
I mean, sure, someone will be training it somewhere.
Well, yes. Well, kind of.
Maybe the original devs are still
well, the
training
original
it,
devs,
you know?
like once it got out that it leaked, like they sort of communicated with Sinex and were like, this is real bad. We've seen these in ranked, and then Sinex were like, can you please not make any more bots right now while we try and sort this out? Maybe if we can.
Yeah, don't do any releases while we try and figure out how to block this. I mean, how can they block it?
Well, I mean,
Depending on how that thing actually interacts with Rocket League.
I mean, it is pretty obvious if you look at it. Like it's very bot-like in its precision, and obviously because it can't do anything like aerials, and it also doesn't really understand demos or anything. It's very obvious in that way. Like if you can do something it's not capable of dealing with, then it's obviously a bot.
But then players can do a lot of things that I can't deal with.
Yeah, but that's different. And like, I saw people speculating that like, because of the way because of the way it's that precise and it always does things in a certain way, because that's just how it's been trained, it should be reasonably detectable. Like, because the way it dribbles, if it's dribbling the ball and turning at the same time, it's doing a perfect arc, which, humans are never going to be able to input and control that precisely. There's always going to be wiggle.
Then you just put a little bit of analog in and just leave it.
Yeah, but not like smoothly like that. Not from one straight line to input to a perfect curve. Like, humans are always going to be making micro adjustments, even if you don't think they are.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that depends on the resolution of the input or whatever.
I mean, I sort of figured it would be the opposite, right? Because like when they trained, I thought that would be the detection method. Like, because when they trained like a AI by watching Gran Turismo, like to perfect a lap, like it ended up doing like super twitchy, like everything was like the inputs were super fast but twitching all over the place.
Yeah, well, that might
and that ended up being the optimal way to play Gran Turismo.
Well, yeah, but that might be like kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like it's changing things so fast that it's actually being sensed as smooth, essentially. Like the game doesn't register the inputs that quick enough anyway, so it's actually effectively smooth.
I mean, maybe, yeah. It depends on when it samples the controller, I guess. But I would guess that the AI would have to be in sync with the games. So, I mean, maybe not. Maybe I don't know how these things are trained, but depends how the training works. The problem is like now the code is out there though, right? Like, what's stopping someone from making something that runs external to Rocket League and is literally just
well, I mean,
controlling?
That probably is how it works. I mean, it's probably just linked into like a DLL or whatever. It's like probably the code is just running, is just outputting inputs into Windows, basically.
Yeah, it's watching the memory or whatever to figure out what's going on, and then maybe depending on how the memory map works in Rocket League, but
because presumably that's how the bot would have worked in the training mode as a mod of Rocket League, because it would have had to have still been a player, basically.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter anyway. I'm out, so at the moment.
Well, it probably would have been higher ranked than you would have seen anyway when the bot started turning up.
Oh, yeah.
I might be at slight risk of seeing them. I think they people have been saying that the bots are about Champion 2 level.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're pretty competent, really.
Well, but only at dribbling, though, which makes them very...
Are they rubbish at defence?
Well, the trouble is there's also been some speculation that there's also another bot or another bot-like program going around at the moment that has it's not a full like AI, like it can't play the game by itself, but you can like turn it on to do specific things. Like there's a defense mode and like a demo mode.
This is the end of video games.
Yeah, basically. Or competitive video games, anyway.
Video games. I mean, the people that run this shit, they fucking suck.
Well, it's just like the actual problem with it.
I mean, it's legitimately interesting from a technical perspective that these things exist. Don't get me wrong, but from an actual game perspective, anyone who runs this or anyone who runs any kind of cheating in a competitive environment, you're a moron.
Well, yes, but like
play the goddamn game.
Well, yes, but what is the benefit? I mean, like
to be better than you are.
Well, yeah, but like in Rocket League, what do you even get? You get one fancy booster season, I guess.
I guess. I mean, what are people hoping to achieve? I mean, like there's aside from the obvious, which is that people get a kick out of just ruining people's day.
Yeah, but would you even when you were running a bot? I mean, you'd have to sit there and watch it, I guess, if you wanted to experience that.
I mean, isn't that right? Like the only reason people like cheat in like CS and stuff like that, with wall hacks and all that stuff, to be like, oh, I can see where this guy is.
Wall hacks isn't like input control though. That's like letting you see things you're not be able to see.
It's a little different, but still, like it's a.
That's making.
You're not besting someone, are you?
Well, no, but that's. I mean, it's cheating, but it's not like you are still playing the game. You're just getting an unfair advantage and therefore winning more than you should and therefore ranking higher than you should. Whereas in this Rocket League case, it's a bot playing the whole game, or at least large portions of the game if it's this toggleable one.
I suppose you're right. Like the satisfaction is lower because you're not involved from a cheating from the cheating psychology perspective.
Yes.
So what is the end game? Like, are they trying to just rank up to the point where they get you might be pro? Ooh.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, but like you can't sustain that. Like, there's no through path to be like, I used a bot to cheat my rank high enough that I got picked up by an esports team, and then what?
Yeah, and
like
what?
That doesn't work.
And then what? Yeah, or is it for like people who want to just grind the battle pass out automatically?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, that sort of makes sense to me. Like, if you just want to churn through the battle pass and get all the stuff.
You don't need to be high ranked for that.
You don't have to be high ranked.
You can make a shit bot. You can make a bot that just puts random inputs into the game and eventually you rank up enough in the battle pass.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, just idling. But maybe you want it believable so people don't flag it.
Sure, but I mean, this one is flaggable in the other direction. It's too much obvious that it's a bot. But like the actual problem with it is that because it's a export of a machine learning code and it can't learn anymore, if it could learn anymore, the problem would solve itself because all the bots would just go past everyone else and then we'd never see them. Then competitive wouldn't be ruined because you'd never see the bots. They'd all be playing against each other. That would solve the problem.
Haven't they tried to do that in other games before, where if you've been flagged your account's been flagged as a cheater, like it sort of segregates the user base a little bit, and you go into like here's the suspected cheaters pool.
Yes, I mean they have done that regularly with different games, and I don't know if Rocket League's ever done that, but it's definitely possible. because I feel like
it's just such a.
I don't see the same people much.
It's just such a really. I don't get it. I don't know, it's just. I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like what? It's not cool. Playing with cheats like back in the day, like again, like when we were like killer 90 our way through Quake or whatever.
That's a different thing.
Like, or what was it? No, it wasn't even killer 90 was a mod, right? But like, yeah, just turn Impulse 9. That was it. That was what I was thinking of. You just Impulse 9 your way through Quake. I don't know. That was a right laugh. But God mode and all that stuff. Like, cheats and offline. Like, sure, you're just having a laugh at nobody's expense, and it's like. I guess you're trying to have a laugh in a game you like, but the problem is it comes at everyone's enjoyment expense. I don't know. I shall employ my mantra for life, which is don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the Wheaton formulation of the golden rule.
Or that Penny Arcade t-shirt that I lost many a year ago and haven't been able to find. Which just, Jesus says, don't be a dick.
So that's what's happening in Rocket League. Also, I played some Rocket League. And I had a very annoying lemon run where at the start of the session, I was doing great. I guess I was having the old like golf luck of like I hadn't played for a while and then I was awesome.
Right, yes.
Just like we do when we play golf. But,
I mean, it's been long enough that I highly doubt that's going to happen next time we play.
Probably. But I was having that. I was doing pretty good, and my teammates were doing pretty good, and I was like, holy shit, I might actually rank up a bit tonight. But then, like, I guess maybe I dropped off a bit, but my teammates definitely dropped off a lot more, and then my rank just went straight down. I was like, oh, god damn it. Never mind then. Lemons.
I mean, everyone's like hot period is a different length. I definitely go through like a hot period in some sessions, right?
I think it's definitely noticeable for me when it's like when I haven't played for a while, and I just for some reason I get better when I haven't played, which doesn't make any sense.
Is it because you're sort of? Sometimes it's like you're sort of separated from caring a little bit. Sometimes if it's been a long time.
I don't think I care that much. Ever.
I mean, it is frustration when you're on a pure losing streak, which was pretty much my entire last season of Rocket League. It was just one big losing streak. But it doesn't feel good.
So there's that. I play some of that. Now we can talk about new games, I guess. Well,
new!
Sort of new. Because as usual, maybe not new. Because the first one that I've been playing is a game that's actually pretty old at this point that I just never got round to. But I always thought that I would. Was Creeper World 4.
Oh, right, yes.
Because I was like, I've played Creeper World 3 plenty. Now I can play 4. Because that came out, I don't know how many years ago at this point, quite a few. And I'd just been not getting around to buying it and playing it. But I went in and it is still one of those. It is still basically exactly the same game, but now in 3D.
Oh, I see. They gave it a graphics overhaul.
Yeah.
So, remind me, is this the one with the sort of where the creeper is sort of like just a sort of goop layer?
Yeah, it's just a goop. It's just a pile of goop that spreads across the surface. Which again, like...
But not... So is the... I think I talk about this every time you talk about Creeper, and I get reminded that there's a game called Grey Goo that was kind of like...
No, that's an RTS.
Yeah, okay, that was more RTS, right.
I mean, this is technically an RTS, I guess. It's sort of a tower defense as well, I guess you could consider it. Kind of, except it's a goop. So, like, your tower defense is not on a specific area, it's on the whole front, because the goop just comes. But yeah, I mean, it does... I always wondered, like, when I was playing 2, when it's just top down, it's just like, this must look real weird if you could actually see it. And it does. Like, you got this, but it's mainly just like a level design thing, because, like, I mean, you're always going to have a map boundary edge where there's just going to be a flat edge at the edge of the map, because that's just how maps work in a game like this. So that's always going to be weird. But you could accept that.
You sort of hide it. You fade out.
Well, you could, but that would be kind of difficult to determine where the actual edge of the zone is. And it would still look weird if the creeper didn't flow in that direction, like off the map. So they just like don't really bother. But then the design of the game also just has impassable pits. So like the creeper just comes up to this cliff and just stops because there's a pit, which it can flow down into normal pits on the map, but not these specific impassable pits.
Right. Are they like black holes? Do they look like they go like down forever?
Well, in 3, in the 2D world, it was like space. Like you were just sort of floating asteroid and it was just space.
Oh, I see. Right.
I mean, it didn't make sense how gravity worked in that case, but it like visually that sort of made sense. I think there were some levels that still just had impassable holes, but in this one, it's just like a different texture. It's just a different texture of ground that the creeper for some reason doesn't want to go into. So yes, it can look kind of weird when you've just got like this sheer vertical wall of creeper on the edge of this cliff. But I think the other reason that it doesn't look completely ridiculous in 3D is I think they like toned down the heights, like the specific numbers that it could build up to. Because in 2, you could easily get like, this tile has over 200 creeper on it. It's 200 units tall.
Oh, right. So that's how they... Okay, I didn't know that about it. Like, I just assumed there was either creep or there wasn't.
No, it's like a depth, which is why it flows from the higher areas. But then now it's represented in 3D, so you can actually see that much easier than in the 2D representation. But the heights are like obviously like limited to make it look not completely ridiculous.
Tidal wave.
And obviously then some of the minor new things that have been added in this game almost seem intentionally designed to specifically make ripples. Like there's this one specific type of enemy, I guess you would call it, that like collects creeper when it's sitting in creeper, builds up a big pile of it, and then like releases it. I assume it also like multiplies it, so it actually creates more after it's done this like collection and release. But really all it does is like make a ripple, because it collects it for a while and then releases it all in one big burst, so it makes a ripple on the surface. And it's like, that's obviously been designed that way on purpose.
Is it a way to
it's not just a multiplier, it's like it releases it in a big chunk specifically.
Right. To sort of create a wave effect.
Yeah, to create a wave across the surface.
So it can sort of press your defenses, is that the idea?
Yeah.
Sort of...
And then there's a type of terrain where it periodically just multiplies everything that's on top of it. So like that also creates little ripples. So there's these very specific things that seem to be made more or less to just make ripples, because now you can see them.
Are they? So they are important gameplay wise, like not just fancy visual things.
I mean, yes, like if you don't let the creeper hit these things that multiply them, then obviously that's good, because then you can kill it quicker. But apart from that, it's substantially the same, where it's like you get the same guns. Even the story is, well, I mean, I guess the story isn't the same, and kind of in all of the creeper games, it's always the same story anyway. You're fighting the creeper, and like you
land on thing,
and you
find
out what the creeper is doing, which is generally the same thing as the reapers in Mass Effect, except it's a goop. It comes along every now and then to wipe out civilization and steal all the data, I guess. But yeah,
so the creep is clever.
Well, kind of. Like it absorbs information somehow. They go into that but slightly more in 3, and I haven't got to that. I don't know if they're going to go into that in 4. At the moment, it's like in 4
discs.
In 4, you're like time traveling. Like,
okay, the shark has been jumped.
Well, kind of. Except like in 3, you time travel once. You end up in the future, and then you're stuck there. And then you have to like you are like the sole survivor in the universe at that point, so you have to fight the creeper.
Great.
But in this game, you accidentally time travel, and then eventually discover that you've time traveled, and then you're like, oh, but now I'm in the future, so what can I do? Well, I guess I fight the creeper. It's like, so yeah, basically the same thing.
Can't you just like run away a bit?
Well, it does. in a text log in this game, it does say like you have a choice here now that you've discovered that you are in fact time traveling and not like moving in physical space, which is what you thought you were doing. You thought you were jumping between planets, but it's actually the same planet but just at different times. So now that you've discovered that, you can either continue to just jump randomly through time and like maybe you'll land in a place where the creeper isn't around, or you can stay in this specific time period and try and actually fight the creeper for real. But it's not actually a choice. You stay there and fight because that's the game.
Sure.
But yeah, it is.
So but you're the only dude left.
In this bit of the timeline, yeah, I guess.
So unless you can figure out how to jump backwards, what's the point?
Well, in this game, they're like, if you can beat the creeper now, you'll be benefiting the next civilization that rises up. So maybe that's good. Maybe you're just doing the universe a good thing,
doing this planet a solid.
Yeah. Or maybe, I guess I haven't got to the end of this story, so maybe there'll be some kind of twist where you do, find a way back or whatever. Who knows? I forget how Creeper World 3 actually ended. Like, there's the final boss battle, and then like there's you can merge with the creeper and become evil, or you can be good and continue to fight. But I don't remember what happens after you win.
One with the creeper.
But yeah, it's mostly the same. And the funny thing is, just like around Christmas, the dev put out a video of the next game, which is not Creeper World 5, it's Creeper World something. It's got like a subtitle now. But it is basically another same concept.
Creep hard.
Except this new one is 2D. It's vertical, like a side scroll. So the creeper fills up from the bottom.
Creep Tower.
Yeah, maybe.
Creeper Tower, sorry.
Although
I
believe Creeper World 2 might have also been signed on, so it might not might not even be a new thing.
Are they just in a cycle now?
Yeah, maybe.
Weird.
But yeah, that game's still fine for what it is. It's still the same. But it's slightly maybe disappointing that like it doesn't appear the random level generator has become any more advanced in this version, which is kind of what you want from that game. Like the story is fine with these pre-built levels and whatnot, but if you want to play it for longer than that, you want the random level generator to be good. But it still looks like it's more or less generating in the same ways. I mean, I haven't tried it yet. I haven't played one of those randomly generated levels because there are some new elements of this game, some new enemies and some new guns and that and whatnot. So I haven't seen how it plays out in a random map now, but I'll get to that eventually once I finish the story.
But when you've like had a look in the menu, have you? And then been
I just clicked on the map generator to see what the previews look like.
Okay,
and they do look like it's using substantially the same method or whatever.
Same rules.
So there's that, and then the other new thing that I played, which also is not that new, but I guess it's still in early access. Or is it? Is it still in early access? Or is it? I think it might be not in early access, but continuing to update. So it might as well be.
You're asking us without telling us what it is.
Yes, but that's the trouble. But like all of these games are like this now. It's like early access doesn't mean anything, and it never did. But now it really doesn't, because games will come out and then continue to update as if they were in early access. But so this one specifically is Captain of Industry, because that's my type of game, obviously.
Yeah.
You are Captain Factory.
Yep. And it is basically another factory building game. The captain part is this weird like random like lore conceit where it's like the modern world, except something happened that destroyed civilization, except you kept most of the modern technology, but not all of the modern technology. So you basically have a battleship, and you just land on this random island, and you're like, I'm going to rebuild my civilization here on this random island.
Okay.
And then you start with stuff like, trucks and excavators and like iron smelting and whatnot. So you do have some tech, but you do still have to research tech to like regain some of the tech that you lost. And then eventually you upgrade your battleship and you can go out and fight pirate battleships out in the world. It's not really a thing. It's like a menu. You just click on the fight button and then it just happens.
Do fight.
And then you can discover like oil rigs that you can rebuild. So it's this weird like apocalyptic world, but not really. It's like it's modern tech, but like you've kind of half forgotten it, but not quite. But then apart from that, you build a factory. It's not quite... I haven't quite fully grasped how this is meant to lean, because at the start you have trucks to transport stuff between buildings, which is sort of like how drones would be in Factorio. They move things directly between buildings. So you think that makes the logistics like not a problem because it's point to point. You're not having to worry about it.
Right, yeah.
But then obviously you're limited by your fuel consumption of the trucks. So then you're like, okay, if I want to save fuel, I want to build belts between buildings to move stuff around. So there's the Factorio style belts coming in. But I haven't quite figured out how hard I should be committing to belts versus trucks.
Right.
Because it's like the fuel consumption.
Transport tycoon problem.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Build another truck or go train.
Yeah, well, always go train. Trucks aren't worth anything. But in this game, it's like, is the fuel consumption of the trucks better or worse than spending all the extra resources to make the stuff that I need to make the belts? And how much fuel do I even save by making the belts? Because the other thing that I haven't quite got a handle on is like the resources are limited. And the one thing that this game does very differently is that you're actually mining the terrain like physically. Like it's got a tile-based system where you dig away the terrain. So when you're mining iron, you're looking for an iron patch and then digging into it. And it actually like simulates the physics of the terrain or whatever, so it can collapse and like landslides and stuff. And you actually have to deal with like spoil heaps and stuff. So you're getting extra dirt and rock that you scrape off the surface, and then you have to put that somewhere process it into something else. So it's actually simulating that, which then leads more into the excavators and trucks, because that can't be automated in. It's not like Factorio where you just put a mine down and iron just comes out of it. You actually have to like designate like slopes and ramps and dig a hole and all that stuff. So that's the fancy part of it. But then because of that, obviously all the resources are limited. There's only so much iron in this huge ass mountain of iron that happens to be on this island. But then there are these map locations which in easy mode are infinite, but in normal difficulty are not infinite. They're just like large, like the oil rigs for oil. Because you start off with like oil wells that you build on land. There's like a small amount of oil under this island as well. But if you want the long-term version of that, you're going to need to rebuild an oil rig and then use a cargo ship to ship it in.
Okay, yeah.
But even that's limited. So it's like, if I'm constantly burning diesel to run trucks, I'm constantly using oil, and that is a limited resource. But then iron is also a limited resource. But once you build a belt, it's there forever, unless you rebuild it if you demolish it, because you do lose some of the resources in this game, unlike Factorio.
It's not perfect recycling.
It's pretty close to perfect though, so I like maybe that's almost insignificant. But it's like, how much do I commit to these large construction projects rather than just continuing to use trucks? I still haven't got a handle on it, and also I feel like I haven't got a handle on like scaling effectively. Like when I'm trying to build a new bit of factory, I am always like waiting for the parts to get made, even if I've buffered them a bit. Like my buffers aren't big enough yet, but I don't feel like I can have bigger buffers because I don't feel like I've got well, for a start, I don't feel like I can mine the stuff fast enough with the number of trucks that I have. And this is all limited by people. Like you actually have a population as well. And you have to supply them with like food and water and whatever. So that's a whole other industrial process you have to build. And then each building uses a certain amount of workers. So you have a limited cap on how many buildings you can even have. So I haven't really got a feel for where the balance is in all this. Like how many people should I be committing to the buildings? How many people should I be committing to trucks?
But this all sounds good, right? From your perspective?
Yes.
Because this is a new problem.
It is a new puzzle to solve.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. And
it sounds like it's at least giving you a bit of a headache to solve it for once.
Yes, but I mean, to some extent, there's also the problem where I feel like I maybe don't have all of the information I would like, which is, that's a UI problem, I guess.
Documentation thing, or
well, yeah, that too. I mean, there's a wiki, but it also doesn't really have necessarily all the information I would like. But in game, it's like when I'm looking at the consumption graph for like diesel, and it's going into all the trucks, obviously, but it doesn't split it. It doesn't say like this is how much is going into trucks and this is how much is going into excavators. Like, it doesn't get any more specific than just saying this is how much diesel you're consuming. And then that gets worse for like coal, where it's like if you have a coal-fired power plant, but you're also using coal for smelting, what's the proportion there? You don't really know. So you can't necessarily know where to make savings. Like, I just recently converted from a coal-fired power plant to an oil-fired power plant because I felt like I was mining through my coal patch too fast, but I can just get oil from the oil rig, which is not infinite again, but it's not going to last way longer than this coal patch is looking like it's gonna. But is that the better solution? I don't know. Because running the oil rig does use a lot of people.
Yeah. Sounds like it's going to take you quite a few runs to get a feel.
It is feeling like it. And I also wish it had slightly more information about like the terrain. Because when you need to dig a hole, so like if you're digging, in my current coal mine, I've mined more or less the surface down to flat. So now I'm digging down. But then because of the way that the ground collapses, you have to build retaining walls. But then the retaining walls can only hold back 5 vertical levels. So if the coal is deeper than 5, you have to build 2 retaining walls. But then that means the outer one has to be further away to allow space for the second one. So it's like, it's hard to predict how far away you need to build the retaining walls to allow you to get to the bottom of the deposit. You can do it, but it takes a lot of like, you have to just sit there and like count the bars of the resource overlay to be like, okay, this specific tile of coal is 27 below sea level, which means I'll need 4.5 retaining walls in order to be able to dig down to it. So I have to put the wall 4 tiles away from that specific tile. And then you do that for every goddamn tile of this entire deposit to work out where the walls have to be.
Huh. So is the game like modeling depth then as a result of that? Like, can you see depth? Like, because
well, you have this overlay that shows the resources as a bar, and the bar is on the surface, so it's from the surface downwards.
Okay, so it's not like the game is like 3-dimensionally modeling this stuff, like.
Well, kind of, because if you imagine it's like the world is, if you imagine it's like a Minecraft world where everything's made of blocks, except they're more like flat plates in this game, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
But so it's like as if you were taking a 3D spherical brush and painting it into the ground. It's that kind of shape of deposit.
Okay, I think I got you.
So it curves at the bottom and it like goes down into the terrain. So you have these bars that tell you how many layers there are, and if there's any like topsoil on it, it will show that as well. So you can see stuff that's underground, but it tells you how many layers of dirt you'd have to dig through to get to the top of it. But then you just have to physically count those and like do this annoying maths to work out how much. But then my current method is to not even bother doing that. Just build the retaining walls on the surface layer as far out as the coal goes, and then if it looks like it goes under the wall, I'll just demolish them and move them back. Like, because another weird thing that this game does is it has a system for instant construction and instant demolition, actually, because if you build a building, the trucks have to bring the materials to it.
Sure.
But you also have this special resource called Unity, where if your population is happy, you build up Unity. And then you can spend Unity to just instantly build stuff or instantly demolish things. So it's like this extra resource. And it can also do a few other things. Like if a truck gets stuck, you can use Unity to just get it out of there.
It's the rush money.
Yeah, it is basically
free-to-play games.
Yes, it is basically the in-game version of like pay your workers more. But so yeah, you can. So what I'm thinking my method will be is just build the retaining wall arbitrarily on the surface, and then if it does need to go back, plot out the new ones, and then just instant demolish the old ones, instant build the new ones, and then they'll still hold back the terrain. Like it won't collapse in the meantime while they're being built. Hopefully, anyway. I assume that's how that's going to work. Because they do have like a little constructing animation even if you instant build them. But I assume the like collision physics already exists or whatever during that sequence. So yeah, that's Captain of Industry.
I do like that name though. Captain of Industry.
You are the captain, maybe. You build the captain's office.
Are you on your own this time? I suppose you said you got population.
Yeah, you have a population. You're not just the single person demolishing this entire planet.
Yeah.
And then that's all I played, but 2 more games upcoming that I haven't played yet, but I do now have.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for Baba Is You.
Oh, cool.
Baba Is You.
Yeah, I want to know what your
What's that
thoughts
again?
on that is.
That's that weird puzzle game where like the mechanics are physical words in the environment that you can move around. Like,
Oh, yeah.
So you effectively reprogram the game, right?
yeah, as part of the puzzle. And
Sounds right up your street.
yes. And there was another game that I've now literally just forgotten. Damn it.
You can come back to it. You can
Yes,
give us
I mean, I can come back to it when I've played it, I guess.
Yeah, or give us if you think of it, give us a little tease at the end of the episode.
Yes. And then I didn't really play any Dirk. Well, I mean, I did, but not as much as I have.
I mean, we played a little bit.
Yes, we did play a little bit. There's the transition to Rob.
Relatively
Got it in there.
I mean, I've got nothing really to add to
No, not the Dirk
that,
conversation.
other than, I guess I'm spending a bit more time playing Gunner in Dirg now, so I'm
Yes, that's true.
Mixing up my class a little bit.
We haven't had that in a video. Did we have that in a video? No, we didn't. Right?
No, we haven't done a video with me as Gunner yet.
We thought about it.
Yeah, I think I might need to, level him up a bit more, be a bit more competent. Because, I don't know, the Gunner's kind of, like, his base weapon is, like, it's not as effective as I feel like it should be.
I kind of prefer the regular minigun, but I guess that's because I have all the upgrades. So maybe, I don't think I have a particularly interesting overclock on my minigun. I think I just have a generic, like, clean that just gives it a small buff.
I think I sort of mean that in comparison to the other classes. Like, I don't know that the minigun is as effective as, like, it feels like it should be for the gunner's role of, like, plant yourself down and spew. Like, it's reasonably effective against the bigger enemies because you can shoot them in the face easier,
right,
rather than having to worry about the weak spot stuff.
Well,
but,
I mean, you still hit weak spots for bonus damage.
Sure, but you can just spew at the face, and that's actually pretty effective because you can't move very much when you're spewing. That's sort of the problem. Classically, minigun users. But yeah, I feel like it should always be that thing should do way more damage than it does, or something, or be a bit more effective than it is. And it's like I don't feel that competent.
Well, I mean, I guess
Gunner
it's
at the moment.
like the balance of Dirk is not like it is like even. Like none of the classes are actually like DPS.
Powerful, yeah.
Technically, even though you think they might be.
But it's sort of it feels like an odd trade-off, right? Like you've crippled my movement, but I'm not actually gaining DPS from it. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't. It feels weaker.
Well,
even if it isn't in reality, but it feels weaker.
Yeah, I guess that might just be the upgrade tiers, because obviously, like, I think my minigun, it has like stun, which is just the main thing that makes it way better. Because you just sweep it across a bunch of enemies and then they all stop.
I see. Yeah, okay. I mean, the pistol's pretty powerful.
Yes, the pistol. I like the pistol as well.
Yeah, because it does a smeg ton of damage in a single shot, but your ammo is super limited.
Yes.
So he does at least have a ranged option at times, but like when you're facing it off against the sort of bosses, like that awkward time we got pinned down by the core lock.
Yes.
Core lock plant thing, not a core rock. I keep wanting to call it core rock because it's a bit planty.
It's a plant, yes.
And it might be a core rock seed somewhere in there, but it's a core lock that spews green shit at you. But yeah, I'm feeling like I can't really minigun this from afar. I really so I'm using my pistol on it, and it's like, of course, stuff keeps respawning on it.
Can you not minigun that from afar though?
I mean, you sort of can, but then you're standing out in the open while it shoots you.
Well, I don't remember if you. I think you can still shoot down the core lock shots like you can with the spitballers.
Can you?
I think you can with the core lock, because you definitely can with the spitballers. Because their projectiles are much bigger, and the core lock ones are a bit smaller, but I think you can still shoot them.
Didn't try that. Okay. For next time.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, the minigun is not like super inaccurate at range because it gets more accurate as you fire it.
Yeah.
It has the inverse accuracy thing that certain guns have.
It's still not massively accurate even at maximum like
No, I mean
squeeze.
that is definitely another thing that I have on the upgrades. I have my minigun full maximum accuracy.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's probably a good idea.
But then yeah, I mean if you ever play that long enough to get to the other weapons, those are weird as well.
Well, we're working on it. We're working on
Which
it.
one did you start working on? The
I don't know. Whatever.
Thunderhead, the auto cannon,
Yeah.
right? Yes, the splash damage weapon.
Oh, okay.
That one can be quite fun. Although, again, you might need to get to mod levels or possibly overclock levels on that. Because I very rarely use that any longer. But like, I think the last time I used it, I had a version where it did much less. It did less damage, but the splash radius was bigger. But it also had neurotoxin, so everything in the splash radius just gets neurotoxin and takes damage over time.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool.
And then there's the rocket launcher, the guided rocket launcher. That's pretty fun. But again, that one especially is like super different depending on how you mod it. Like you can either...
How is that even useful during a like as the replacement for your main weapon though? Because really that like in horde territory, perhaps about horde. What is it? Swarm. With only two of us. Like, is it all that effective?
I mean, it's fine for shooting things in the face. Like if you're just shooting the rockets directly at the enemies, it's fine. You don't need to worry about the guidance that much. But it just at long range you can guide the rockets better, so you can fly them into things. But then once you get to overclocks on that weapon, that's where that really changes, because you can have the rocket shotgun where you just load up 9 rockets and then blast them out in an unguided bunch, which is pretty funny. Or you can have my version, the mine launcher, where the rockets just turn into landmines. So you don't aim at the enemies, you just aim at the terrain and just lay a bunch of landmines all over it.
Weird, because I've sort of had the cryo bombs on the scouts SMGs.
Right, yeah.
You shoot in front of the enemy and they walk onto them and get cryoed.
Those are much harder to use because they don't last.
No.
Like
they're really quick time.
They don't stay in terrain. The rocket launcher lasts a reasonable amount of time, which makes it actually pretty useful as a primary weapon. You can just, as the swarm starts pathing towards you, you can see where they're going to come from and just stick a bunch of mines on the ground.
Okay. Interesting. Makes me wonder if this is the one class, or maybe I say the one class, but a class better suited to like playing in a full team. Like,
well, I mean, I soloed kind of for the longest time. That was my solo class to start with.
Oh, really?
Because of the zip. I mean, the zip line gives you enough mobility that solo isn't annoying. I mean, because with drill, it's pretty annoying to solo, having to drill everything to make paths. But the zip line is sufficient to manage vertical mobility when you're a gunner by yourself. But I mean,
and also bot face is pretty effective just in general. But...
I mean, I guess.
Bot face. Anyway,
that's Dirk.
Dirk update. What else I've been doing? I've been dicking around with my Sinden quite a lot because it's my light gun for PC. I'm starting to dial in a few more things. Playing Time Crisis, the arcade version of Time Crisis in MAME. With it, I've now
first one.
Yeah, I've got that pretty much dialed in now.
Love that game.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Like, it's just
time for the one-man army.
Yeah,
Richard Miller.
That game is absolutely fantastic, and it's still like. Sure, I think it's a little annoying at times, like playing TC1, and because of its ambiguity in how the damage system works, because you can sort of take shots from everyone other than red guys, except that's not always true. So like TC1 kind of doesn't have that the thing that TC2 introduced, which is like damaging shots are very obviously highlighted.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit frustrating at moments, and it's like all Time Crisis games. It's like its first act is clearly the best, and then I don't know, Act 2 is pretty good actually in TC1, but the third act is kind of a bit lame.
Yeah, it goes ropey. It's probably because they know that not many people are going to get that.
Yeah,
far
probably
in the arcade.
As an arcade game, yeah, because TC2 has that problem as well, where the last act isn't nearly as cool as the first two. But yeah, TC1 and TC2 are absolute classics, and then it goes down here from there. Really,
Yeah,
if we're being honest.
rapidly after that point. Yeah.
TC3 is okay, but the multiple weapon thing doesn't work quite so well. And then TC4 introduced the weird quick step mechanic where you can go between left and right cover like some kind of superhero. It's weird.
My problem was that TC2 was so popular that I only ever found one TC1 cabinet ever, I think.
Right, yeah.
In Britain. Yeah.
I mean,
which is annoying because I was really good at it because I played it so much on the PlayStation that when I found the actual cabinet, I was like, "Oh, I can actually do this one."
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen TC1 was a pretty popular cab in the UK, but like,
right, I just never saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go to, like, as a kid, we used to holiday at Butlins quite a lot, right? And those resorts used to have several arcades in them. And, So yeah, there was almost always a TC1 cab at those places. Right. I mean, I'm a TC2 guy, but like MAME can't emulate TC2 yet. And I think I mentioned before, the PCSX2 emulation adds enough latency for it to be annoying, which is a shame because there's quite a lot of good gun games on PlayStation 2 I'd like to revisit. But PCSX2 just isn't really up to the job for this. Too much input lag. So that's a bit of a shame. So I got that working. I got Sega Model 2 functioning. So I've been playing Virtua Cop and Virtua Cop 2.
Nice.
Those work pretty well. And once again, I prefer playing those versions of it to the Elite Edition on PCSX2. Like playing playing Model 2 is pretty good. I think I mentioned last time, I've been playing House of the Dead 2 on Redream. I'm still crap at it. That game is hard.
Yeah.
Like properly hard. Zach wandered in with me trying to figure out how to get Lethal Enforcers, the arcade game, to work, and I did manage to just about get that working. But that's vintage shoot like gun game, that is.
It's FMV gun game.
But not really. It's like it's sprites, but like
I mean it sprites like, of FMV.
Of photos, yeah. And also playing using DuckStation to do PlayStation 1 stuff works real well as well. So I've been playing all the point blanks, including
of course,
including Point Blank 3, which I didn't realize actually didn't come out in the arcades. I think that might have actually been a PlayStation 1 release only. Don't get me wrong. Setting things up with a Sinden is still a pain in the arse. It takes a while, and then, as we found out earlier, once I got Lethal Enforcers working, my copy of Time Crisis has mysteriously stopped working. So you can't.
But that's a main problem, not a gun problem.
Yeah, it's probably a main problem. That's not an issue with a gun. Like it's this stuff is finicky as hell, is what I'm trying to say, and it's like that could be helped a lot by them making improvements to the Sinden software. Like it'd be really nice if it had profiles in the software, so you can be like, oh, I've configured it for this game. Now can I just swap profile to this game so it's not such of a faff to go and try and remember all the settings you needed to change for the next one? Like, yeah, the Sinden software needs work. I think I mentioned that last time. It's bare bones, but it functions. But it could do with some quality of life features for sure. But yeah, I'm having a real good time with it. To be honest, it's drawing me at the moment. I've got that draw to just shoot stuff. I've got to strengthen my gun arm, man. Like the Sinden's not a light gun. It's a light gun, but it's not a light gun.
Yeah, well, it's lighter than an actual gun. But.
Yeah, but it's like, so I've got the one that's got the solenoid built in with the recoil, and it's like, which is cool. I didn't have turned on I don't have it turned on that much because it's loud. Like,
right, yeah.
Clack, clack, clack. But it's the actual gun unit itself, I think, is heavier as a result than like the gun cons and stuff I'd have been used to back in the day. Especially lighter than the Dreamcast gun, which was like, it was almost like a Wii blaster, sort of that sort of construction, or the weird, stupid Wii gun like attachments you could get. So yeah, it's like so my gun arm like just isn't used to holding something up for super long periods of time, but I really want to. So I've got to train my arm. Got to get those gains. There you go. Fitness. Forearm and wrist fitness.
Tiny amounts of exercise.
Yes, what else have I been doing? I finished High on Life. And
did you bother to 100% clear everything, or did you just finish it?
I did not.
Okay.
I tried, actually. I went through a phase where I knew I was right near the end of the game. It makes it pretty clear when that's about to happen. So it's like, all right, let's go revisit a whole bunch of areas with my new abilities and see if I can find anything. And there was just a couple of spots where it's like I could see there was stuff nearby on my radar little thing, but I could not for the life of me fathom where those were, because like the range on your little sensor isn't very far. And it's like, well, it's got to be right here. And then you get to a bit of the map and it's like, well, it's right behind this door. In theory, it's right here. But it's like, I just could not figure out how to get round certain areas, and then gave up after a while. It's like, this is just busy work at this point. I'm not really gaining anything from it other than achievement hunting, I guess. Of which, some of that stuff you should probably do, though. Some of the achievement hunting stuff is kind of fun. Like, I mentioned, like, okay, mild spoilers, but like it's sort of in the achievement list. I mentioned before that there's like full ass films in this thing that actually play out, and it's like you gain the ability at one point in the game to buy warp discs, so you can warp in random environments, like into parts of the other levels. And one of the things you can warp in is a movie theater, and this movie theater only plays one film, but it's got like a riff track running over the top of it the entire time. You get into this theater and there's like three dudes like sat there, just and they're like, are they going to be talking the entire time? And they're just talking about this terrible film that you're watching. And it's like,
so those three dudes are the dudes from Red Letter Media. It's Mike and Jay.
Is it right?
Yeah. So that's why, and then Justin Roiland appeared in an episode of their Half in the Bag, because they do that Half in the Bag, which is like a movie review program, but it has a framing narrative, but they keep writing themselves into stupid corners and having to retcon it because it gets so dumb. And so this time they just had like Rick and Morty turn up, voiced by Justin Roiland, to fix this fucked up continuity. And I guess that was because they'd appeared in
I see.
Yeah,
crossover. Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of stuff like that all throughout the game. If you like spend the time just to like watch what's going on the TV in the house, which kind of sucks because there's no actual good way of really just watching it. You kind of want to blow it up to full screen, but it's all in world and stuff. And blah 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 blah. And if you stand in the wrong place, the gene in your house starts complaining you're in the way of the TV the whole time. So it's like, okay, but if you're into like your weird environmental TV shows and stuff like that, there's a whole bunch of them. There's loads. Fill your boots. You'll be there for a while. Anyway, that's kind of like world building-y stuff, I suppose. I wouldn't say the tone of the game really changed at all throughout the whole runtime, or it got particularly interesting or twisty. Everything was super obvious what it was going to happen. The ending is quite anticlimactic, although it has a fun cameo moment. But it kind of was a bit of a nothing, honestly. Like, here's a boss fight. Oh, you've beaten the boss. That's it. Game done.
Right,
moving on.
That's it.
Yep.
The end.
And then it dumps you back in the world. And there is a sort of after. You can do it. There's an extra ending or sort of ending, little bit of extra stuff you can find after you've done the last boss fight. If you really want to go find it. Sequel bait. I think the achievement is called. So there's some stuff there, but yeah, I wouldn't say I had a pretty good time of it. Like, it's clear there are spots where it's like it's a bit rough around the edges as an actual game. Like, the shooting didn't really change for the entire length of the run through, if that makes sense. They didn't really add too much in the way of like interesting enemies to fight, which ended up being a bit of a disappointment towards the end, because it's. Yeah, I sort of was liking the fact that it was quite a simple shooter at the start of the game, and I mentioned it gave me a sort of nostalgic feeling, like for the
Yeah.
When shooters were a little bit more experimental, like the time splitters-y sort of age of.
Right, yeah, which was a little bit loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got a bit of that vibe from this, and I was kind of enjoying that vibe, but unfortunately it is... I thought some of the reviews I was reading at the time were like, hey, they seem a bit harsh, but no, they're like, as you get towards the end of the game and you realize, oh no, this actually is kind of it. Okay, maybe it is maybe it is a little underbaked after all. Maybe it is... maybe the actual shooting part of the game could have done with a bit of work. All things considered, I didn't have a bad time. I don't think it deserves as lower reviews as it's getting. Let's put it that way. It's I think maybe the player base on Game Pass kind of agree, because it was like one of the top Game Pass games. Like, since it's come out, like the most, like, players have just jumped on it.
Yes, man, that's also because, like, it's effectively free. There's like, if you're going to play a bad game, you might as well play it for effectively free.
I guess, because I think it was a full price title, so it's like,
yes,
which, you know, playing it on Game Pass does well, it covers a lot of sins, doesn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
You don't feel. Maybe it makes you not as critical about things. Like, maybe if Bayonetta 3 was on Game Pass, I'd feel a lot better about it.
Probably.
But that being said, yeah, High on Life's okay. And I was talking to a friend of the show, Matt Macon, who's, you know, been on once or twice years and years ago. And he's really enjoying it as well. So,
right, okay.
It's
if that suits your sense of humor.
And he's definitely a Rick and Morty fan. So like he falls right into that camp, and as a result is the exact audience for this thing. So, but yeah, I think the reviews have been a little harsh than they should be. Hey, welcome back. The B tier game is what I'm saying. Welcome back.
Right. Yeah.
I guess.
Not everything has to be AAA, right?
No.
But is it a trend? Or
yeah, I would bet on it. It's going to be indies and AAAs forever.
I don't know. Game Pass feels like the exact, like the perfect vehicle for the B tier game, right?
Because of the freeness.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe they will make a return, because the AAA ends up going into quadruple ridiculous disaster territory of like cyberpunk or whatever, where they can't even finish it.
Sure. I mean, if it breeds a new era of, like, you've got a little bit of room to be creative with things again, rather than like being beholden to the boards and like this needs to succeed and it needs to do well. And it's like, Microsoft have already paid you that money to get you on Game Pass to some degree. So it's like, I don't know exactly how their deal system works, but like, I think it is literally an upfront, we want your game in some cases, and it's like we'll pay you this much, and then there's bonuses depending on how well it does. Like, maybe that encourages you, because you're going to get this, if you've struck that deal, maybe it encourages you to be a bit more creative with the design.
But presumably you still have to have made some amount of game before they will make that deal.
Maybe
it's not like they're paying you to make a game.
I mean, yeah, maybe it depends on the studio. Maybe if you've got a track record, you can do a pitch or something like that and be like, look, we're doing this, but like, it's early. Like, you know, that's any publishing deal, right? It's built on trust to some level.
But I feel like in Game Pass's case, it's got to be way closer to the finished product end of the development.
Yeah, depends whether Microsoft wants to get behind it as a publisher. I guess that maybe there's cases for that to be made. Anyway, that's my hope. Like I want to if it breeds creativity, that's a good thing. And there's definitely some creativity on show in High on Life, if maybe not in the gunplay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So finally, probably finally. I think it's finally. And I always lose track of what I'm doing. I've started playing Yakuza 5.
Good. We can talk about that for the next
half a year.
Yeah, for the next 20 on podcasts.
Yeah, I pulled the trigger. I thought, like, keeping to my one a year schedule, right? I started Yakuza 4 around this time last year, so let's.
It's time.
Noma's just walked in the front door of our house and has just heard me say the word Yakuza and looked at me and shook her head.
Oh no! Shake head.
Yeah, okay. Yakuza 5 it's an interesting case, right? Because like 3, 4, and 5 have been the remastered versions. Noma's all, I don't know if that picked up on Zach's mic there, but she was quick to remind me. He's like, don't forget you've got a baby coming. This might be a bad idea.
Born into the life.
Yeah. Yakuza for life.
Yakuza for life.
Yeah, so Yakuza 3, 4, 5 were the re-releases, essentially, like on the Game Pass versions anyway. They're remasters of the PS3 games. And as a result of that, they don't do too much to them other than like give them a bit of an HD makeover, up some textures here and there. The game itself are pretty much identical, like in terms of how they play.
Which was your problem after coming from the full remake.
Going from Kiwami and Kiwami 2 back to Yakuza 3 was a little painful. But now I'm getting much closer to that point. Yakuza,
like it's catching back up.
Yeah, Yakuza 5 feels like there's only one game between it and Kiwami 1 now, and that's Yakuza 0.
Right.
So I'm getting very close to that point, and things still feel a little antiquated, but it's getting closer to that Kiwami goodness. And that's somewhat immediately apparent. Like it looks a bit better. The combat plays a little better. They're clearly more ambitious with their mini games and stuff this time round, because there's quite a few of them right out of the gate, like, which is interesting because it's like the game is slower paced so far. Like, okay, Yakuza 3 has a pretty slow start, but this one also has a pretty slow start. And there's been an event, but like the game is quite happy for me to just be Kiryu for a bit in his current life. Like there's no particular story tying it together. I'm doing the side stuff like right from the start. And that's kind of interesting. And probably quite beneficial, actually, because it means I can just mess around, do the side stuff for a while, level me the hell up for the game's trademark incredibly difficult boss fights. So it's probably a good idea for me, engaging in some of the nonsense early. And, you know, you start this game as Kiryu, always a benefit. You didn't start Yakuza 4 as Kiryu. It took you a long time to play as Kiryu in Yakuza 4. So that's already an improvement. Although this game makes it look like you might be playing as all of the cast from the first game and maybe one other character, because 5.
Okay.
So it's all the same. It's all the usual nonsense. You're a taxi driver now. You get to drive safely around a new location. Like, I'm not in Kamurocho at the moment. It's in a new environment.
Is it actually like literally driving mechanics, or is it a mini game?
No, it's driving. You're like driving a car, like with the analog stick and the right, using the right trigger, but you've got to do it in an analog way so you don't upset your passengers.
Smooth acceleration.
Smooth driving, baby. You got to indicate at turns and stuff and wait at traffic lights, and it's weird. Like,
is there going to be a sequence, like maybe towards the end of the game, where it does turn into a car chase?
Oh no, there's already street racing. That happened. That's happened as well. Like, I very quickly encountered a storyline where I was transporting a cop as my driver, and he was like, "No, I'm actually undercover with these guys," and you immediately get challenged to a street race. Like, and then he's
that is driving mechanics,
and then the cop is basically like, "Sort them out." And it's like, I give you authority to race these guys, and it's like, okay, great. So now there's a whole street racing side story going on as well, and that's typically Yakuza, and that it's functional, but those games are like very bare bones and a bit ropey feeling. But that's fine.
What level of Gran Turismo is it?
Oh, very low, like probably not even 1. So you're doing these car chase scenes, and it's like playing Initial D style music, and like Eurobeat as well. It's like it's great. It's great. It's stupid. I mean, some of the bad stuff is also there as well, because I found a side quest to play a guy at shogi pretty early on, and for those that don't know, shogi is basically Japanese chess. Like, it has some really interesting rule differences from chess, but I kind of hate that game.
Fair.
I hate that game. And also the AI in Yakuza really doesn't help because it's like, it is bloody hard. Like the AI does not give you any quarter at all. It feels like it never makes a mistake. Even at the easiest difficulty, like the first guy I'm supposed to be playing in this damn mini game, and he's like, "Oh, you need to beat him in order to progress this guy's story," and I can't for the life of me beat him.
Can you get a not chess computer?
I mean, I bet at some point I could probably unlock so Yakuza. Like in a lot of its like gambling-y mini games, there's been like cheat items you can find.
Right.
So I bet I need to find the shogi cheat item and just burn it on this story or something because I can't beat this guy. It took me ages to actually sort of work out what was happening in some of the moves of the game because shogi is odd because it's like the pieces you capture you steal off your opponent can be put back on the board under your control.
Oh, okay.
And you can put them like almost anywhere on the board at times. And so there were moments where I ended up in checkmate and I'm like, but where has that piece come from? And it's like, I didn't understand the rules, but like he was pulling it out of his captured piece selection and just putting it there. And it's like, well, that checkmates you. And it's like, son of a bitch. And it's really hard. I gave up on that. I'm not gonna engage with that. Like that's kind of Yakuza, right? There's a ridiculous amount of stuff in it, and probably drawing your lines about what you're going to engage with and how far you're going to push stuff is something you need to learn. I'm having a good time. It's like a glove at this point. I'm back in. I've already sunk quite a lot of hours into it, very, very quickly.
Okay. So you still think Kiwami 1 is the place to start?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's the best one I've played.
Yeah.
But Kiwami 2 is pretty good too. Don't sleep on Kiwami 2. Like they're going to be as far as I know, they're the best two. But like I will have caught up to it by the next game. So
sometime next year.
Yeah, sometime next year.
Maybe. Or maybe like 2 years.
Yeah, well, yeah. Depends how much a small Kemplet gets in the way of living my life as a aging Yakuza star.
Yes. I mean, he had a child at some point, right? Or not his child.
No,
he interacts with a child.
Yeah, and you run a whole blooming orphanage at one point. So it's
so you just do that at the same time as in real life. Yeah. Simultaneous childcare.
Yeah, I've got too many years to wait before the child gets old enough to match the in-game child character.
I thought he has a baby with him at or one of the characters has a baby. So I'd say him, a protagonist of a Yakuza game.
I mean, I know from the advertising that Haruka's the girl you
right, yeah, I've heard of that.
Effectively become a surrogate father to in the first Yakuza game. Yeah. Mild spoilers, but not really because she's in the rest of the entire series. But in Yakuza 6, which is like the last, supposedly the last of Kiryu's story or mainline story, Haruka appears to have a child with her.
Right.
So Haruka has had you're a surrogate granddad now, I guess.
I guess
a step granddad. But hey, Kiryu's been seen in like the key art for Like a Dragon 8. So we're not done with Kiryu, apparently. Even though 6 was supposed to be his last outing. Obviously, I'm just waiting for Majima.
Yeah.
As everybody. Yeah. I need more Majima. Like 3 and 4 haven't fulfilled my Majima dreams. Like as well. I mean, nothing's going to beat Yakuza Kiwami 1 with its Majima everywhere system. Like there is no way they can top that. But because it was so brilliant. But I need more Majima, man. I need it. I need that eye patched weirdo in my life. More Yakuza to come.
Quite a lot more.
Okay. Well, that's a big one. Gonna have plenty more of that. coming in future.
I remembered what the other game was.
Oh yes,
Eventually.
teaser time.
It's Noita. It's that weird
Noita.
Oh, the one with all the sort of sand
physics.
physics.
It's a game.
Fluid dynamic kind
It's
of
a game
stuff.
based on sand physics, basically,
Yeah.
where the world is destructible. It's
Pixel art,
pixely art,
presentation, 2D.
pixel destruction. But I'm not sure when I'm going to get to that, because that feels like it needs to go in a queue with like Dead Cell. Very similar problem. Roguelike games that I've never got round to play.
Oh, is it a roguelike? I didn't
Yeah,
really-
it's run based.
Okay.
And you get like random. Oh, well, I was going to say guns, but they're wands because you're a wizard.
Okay. I suppose we should do proper congratulations to Dan for winning the Fantasy Critic League for
Yeah.
2022.
Oh yeah, by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah, off the back of Elden Ring.
I lost a hell of a lot of
Mostly.
points right at the end from Sports Story, but luckily it didn't matter because I was going to come third anyway.
Oh, was Sports Story rubbish?
Apparently so. It was real broken.
Oh, negative 13.
Yep.
Oh dear, shocking.
Rough.
Oh, that's the worst reviewed game, is it? On our
list.
scoreboard.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah, by some margin.
But as I say, didn't matter. I was behind anyway. So that even if that had got like an 85, I don't think I was going to catch up with either of you. So
Maybe not. Yeah.
my play didn't turn out.
I didn't score. I didn't score any points off multiverses in the end. That was the bummer.
Yeah.
The zero's okay. Yeah. By the end, you're looking for the zeros, aren't you? Rather than the negatives.
I mean, but
I think-
I
yeah.
would have scored points off it. Was the problem? Like, had multiverses actually come out
that's
of
true.
beta,
Yeah.
I would have scored points and won.
Yeah, you would have won.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. So close. I think you're quite
Technicality.
unlucky to have. You got like at least three things counterpicked that didn't come out right, and I only had one. So
Well, I mean,
that stops you dropping them, right?
yeah, true. But I mean, we all had two. Actually, we all had two counter picks that didn't come out. Like, we'd like it was pretty even in the end on the counter picks.
I had the Star Wars one that didn't come out. Yeah.
You had a lot of your initial picks that weren't coming out this year, like the Hogwarts
Yeah, I had to
Legacy
drop quite a
and
lot,
Star Wars Survivor. Right, that wasn't. They had to drop those, but you adjusted well. Well played,
Yeah.
sir. Well played.
My ingenious strategy didn't turn out good in the end. Like my Rocksmith play didn't happen.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't do particularly good on my like attempts at picking up a bunch of average stuff in the middle of the year. I mean, some of them were okay. I mean, 2 point campus was good. But,
Yeah, did all right.
but the rest of them are all. I mean, it's all positive, at least apart from Sports Story. But that was right at the end. And then the Hollow Knight was the thing that screwed me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess Slime Rancher too, but that was more of an obvious delay that happened earlier. Rather than Hollow Knight, where no one ever said anything and it always seemed like it was right on the verge of coming out.
It felt like it could have. I mean, we're into 2023 and it still feels like it could have.
Yep.
It could come out in 2022 somehow.
Yep, could come out in the past.
Like, it might have already happened. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, bad luck. Well, we'll have to start a new one sometime and
Yep.
prepare for what we're going to pick.
Get
In
the
our
draft.
See
first
who
round.
gets the Zelda role.
Oh boy, yeah, it is going to depend on who comes first, isn't
Yep.
it? That's going
It
immediately.
literally will be, who goes first gets Zelda and then probably wins.
Because we sort of spoke about it on the last episode, but I don't know what's
What else is coming out this year?
coming out that's could even potentially top that.
I think Street Fighter 6 might do really well.
There's a lot of
As in
hype around it for
score-wise,
sure.
Yeah. I was talking to Gary yesterday, and he's a big Street Fighter fan, and he was playing the beta or whatever on PS5, and
Okay.
he absolutely loves it.
There's
And
a
it's like,
lot more.
He's like, I don't want to go back to Street Fighter 5.
Yeah,
Like,
there's so much hype around it this time compared to 5, which obviously had a slightly fudged launch because
Yeah,
it launched
exactly.
without most of
without
its
lots of
content,
stuff.
and then when they added it in, people didn't care.
yeah.
It launched without the street fighting, as people said.
But 6 is going the other way, right? 6 is going big at launch.
Yeah, it's going big.
Like more content, the story mode. I'm so intrigued by that story mode. Like,
So
I'm not good at I'm not good at Street Fighter in particular. I'm not good at fighting games, but I sort of enjoy the cut of their jib. But like, maybe the story mode in Street Fighter 6 can be
Maybe
draw
it'll
me in.
actually be in the vein of like Mortal Kombat, where it'll actually try and teach you things.
Yeah, maybe.
So that could be a good choice.
There are indications that perhaps they've actually like loosened it a little bit for newcomers, which they didn't do in 4 or 5. Like there's some hints that they're leaning that way just a little, not a lot, but a little, and that might be enough. And it's got a real good look. Like honestly, like 6 knocks the look out of the park, whereas 5 was kind of a weird. Like we liked what 4 did, but we wanted to Unreal Engine it up a bit. Like that's what 5 looks like, and then 6 just looks sick. Sick. Yeah, you might be onto something there. That's a strong one.
I think Forza might do good. I mean, it'd be good.
I don't know that it's going to... Yeah, I don't know
whether that will score as much as Gran Turismo. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt it's going to be a good game. But like, I think like whether or not it pushes... Well, depending on how much microtransaction crap they push into it this time.
Yeah.
Which is what did 7 in. But yeah, whether or not it'll... I don't think it'll push the needle too much. It'll be a good scorer, but like I don't think it'll be a standout.
Yeah.
It's not an Elden Ring or a Zelda.
No, exactly.
It might not even be a God of War Ragnarok,
Probably not.
It's also a ridiculously high-scoring game. God damn.
Yeah.
Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, though.
That's clearly going to be the game of the year.
100%. It's like maximum score.
Do I counterpick it again? Is the question.
Do you counterpick it? I mean, it's definitely coming out this year. They can't delay it.
Yeah.
I mean, they could.
I mean, they delayed it by a whole year. Last year.
Sort of a whole year. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Question is, do I bid on Hollow Knight again?
Yeah.
That has to come out this year.
I mean, that would.
But do I want it any longer? Do
you feel burned?
Yeah. So I just deny it.
Damn you.
I mean, I'll have it.
Well, we'll see. Right.
Yeah. Fantasy League 2023. Like we didn't talk about it on the podcast nearly as much as I thought we would, but it's kind of a hard thing to actually talk about it as a podcast. So
Yeah, exactly.
Fun to wrap it up in this way, even if it granted us 10 minutes of content, it was worth it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of time post podcast talking about it. So, yeah, at least it's video game related, so it's quite good. Yeah.
But yeah, that's thanks to fantasycritic.games for running a pretty decent site for doing this stuff. Go run your own league with your mates. Have fun.
It works. Yeah, it's a little flaky, but I mean, it's quite a complicated app. So
I need to check in to see what they it gets updated every year. So I like
see what the rule changes
are for this year.
Yeah, let us see. Right. Well, I've been playing some Stray. I got that just for fun, which is. It's basically a walking simulator as far as I can tell.
Is it? Okay.
But it's nice. It's nice. It's beautiful environments. And the movement is like, people complaining about it as like it's not enough of a platformer and stuff. But that's not really what it's trying to go for. Like, it's quite fun just navigating the environments.
What you mean?
Cat style.
The guided press A to cat.
Yeah, exactly. You just press A. Or you can even hold A to cat, basically. Cat around.
The Assassin's Creed button.
Yeah, exactly. It basically is like that. And it's kind of, there's a little bit of challenge in sort of navigating your way up to areas, but not really. It's mostly just, it's quite fun to navigate, but it's not a challenge to navigate, basically, or to platform around. Because it is like press A to cat. And it does feel like cat-like enough in the movements. I don't think they really look like cats, but they move like cat.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because there was a whole bunch of, like, when Stray came out, there was a whole bunch of, like, news bulletins, wasn't there? Like, especially in American media,
of actual cats.
Where they were like Stray confuses cats into thinking there's some cat stuck in your screen, and it's like, well,
there's a meow button and dedicated meowing button.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and they learned from Goose Game for that.
Yeah, there's plenty of references to like dumb cat behavior that they do. There's a lot of scratching on walls and posts and things. Yeah, so that part's cool. But yeah, I'm just getting into it, and it's just like really beautiful environments, and like it's getting into some sort of very light story, I guess. But yeah, it's nice. It's good so far. I wanted something a bit relaxed compared to God of War to boot up, and yeah, it looks. Yeah.
Sorry, I tried to muffle that one, and it went real bad.
Yeah,
I tried to, that thing where you try and hold it in, and you just end up to just making your lips go. Poof.
Yeah, they end up making that burst sound. Yeah, so I'll let you know how that develops. There's a little bit of threat where these weird aliens are trying to grab onto you. So I'll see how that develops. I think you end up being able to counter them or whatever. But yeah, I have heard that it is a bit reliant on text boxes or whatever to tell its story, right? Because of course the cat can't talk.
Yeah, you're sort of hearing from the robot denizens.
From the robots. Yeah, exactly.
This undercity.
Yeah, so yeah, cool so far. I'll let you know how that progresses. And then I'll get back into God of War 2.
Is he angry again?
He's getting there. He's starting to get annoyed, I think.
Is he getting Greek God of War angry yet?
Not quite yet. But he's sort of... I'm so angry. I'm sure he'll get there eventually. Cool. I think that'll do it for a podcast for the first of 2023. Woo!
Still going, bitches.
We're going. Yeah, we outlasted all the other podcasts.
Oh yeah, clearly all other podcasts.
All other podcasts. We're actually
I mean, now that sounds like a challenge. We will
I
never
don't think this is going to end. I mean, we have as you say, we have the Kemplet challenge to address this year.
Oh man, if we're still going in 20 years time, can I pass the torch?
Is your kid going to be on this podcast? Potentially, yes.
I'm thinking.
I mean, unintentionally at first, but potentially intentionally.
I'm so looking forward to that.
That's a very long term looking forward to.
I mean, you realise that your kid, regardless of if it's a girl or a boy, is going to be really into football or something. And won't care about video games at all.
Yeah,
yeah.
Or Gnome's probably going to win the influence battle, right?
Right. But even that, if they were into football, Gnome wouldn't be into that either. No, it'd be something that neither of you are into. Yeah.
Strictly Come Dancing, no. No, you're right. It probably, almost certainly, because it's driven by the kids they're with, right? When they get to school, their interests are probably forming based on the crowd they're in. And if they get in a footy, I'm screwed.
Or if they get into Fortnite, you're still not going to enjoy that much.
Well, it just means I'm okay.
Closer.
I mean screwed in the literal sense, not literal, but in the because then it means I'll have to stand in cold, wet fields, not running.
Yeah.
Well, you can run if you want.
I suppose I could go for a run, but then I'm not watching them play their football.
You can be a linesman, volunteer linesman. Then you'll run a lot.
Fitness. Keep it going in some probably more interesting than running. Okay, you're on something there. You're on something.
Well, then you will have to watch them play in a specific way.
Well, yeah, they have to somehow be not biased and be.
You have to understand offside properly.
I understand offside. Whether or not I can see offside, that's another question.
Yeah. We will see. But that's my prediction. We'll have no interest in video games or pizza. Well, actually, if it was possible.
If they end up being lactose intolerant, that's just the end of days.
That's just the end. Yeah.
Well, you could have you can deal with that technically in pizza. It's just really inconvenient.
I guess it's possible. Well, vegan pizzas exist now.
Yeah.
They're not very nice.
That's. For the most part, yes, you're probably right. I've had a few genuinely tasty vegan pizzas.
Maybe in 5 to 7 years' time they'll be better.
Yeah, they might be. There's a pizza van in Bury St Edmunds that has done pizza for my place of work, and they do a vegan pizza that is genuinely quite tasty. Doesn't
Not as good as the real one.
It tastes different, is what I would say. It's not pizza like in the traditional sense. It's the way you expect the bread and the cheese and the tomato core ingredients to come together. It is different, but it's acceptable.
Acceptable vegan pizza. This is the future. Okay.
You know,
Right, and
just over middle ground into good territory, right? Like,
indeed. All right. Well, look out on our YouTube channel for more videos. I don't know what the first one of this year will be.
it will be Rogue Legacy 2 once I
I
get off my arse and actually do some of it.
Okay. So
I've been taking a break.
Yes. It was our Christmas break of laziness.
Yeah. So return to content with this here podcast and videos coming. And we'll catch you in a couple of weeks for another one. Saladcast, that is. So we'll catch you then. Bye.